the CNWT.
From the what?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
Point, Arizona. What a run it has been in the Territorial Cup Series. We can reach back into 22-23 when a certain baseball team led by Chip Hale beat the Sun Devils 20-0. We can do that. We can reach back into the fall when a certain soccer team knocked off the ladies from the north in dramatic fashion at Mulcahy or Murphy Mulcahy 2-1. We can go back to Tempe Thanksgiving weekend when a certain football team put a big whooping on the Devil people. And we can enjoy this winter, which has been not one, not two, not three, but 4 wins on the hardwood between the Arizona men and the Arizona women over the kids from up north, the little brothers. Maybe even we can call them the step brothers from the north. Bashing them. The ladies putting up 90 and winning by 35 plus in Tempe. The men bashing them, putting up 105 and winning by 45 here in Tucson. Point, Arizona. The Wildcats lead the 2023-24 Territorial Cup Series 6-3. Let's revisit what happened last night at the Spaceship in Tempe.
Key shot, fired high to Love. He'll put up a deep three and score it. Drive it down the lane, blocked by Ballo, grabbed out of the air by Love. Cats on the run. Love in a hurry, quickly down, feed it to Boswell. Pop a three out there, it is good. And Bobby Hurley really upset. Out on the court right now. Timeout called with 16:18 to go. First half, Arizona 11, ASU 3. Bradley down around a pick from Krivas. He'll jump it up for 2 and score it. Timeout ASU.
Comfort zone. Arizona offensively in their comfort zone.
6 to shoot. Boswell, top Johnson, open 3. High off the rim, no good. Follow the offensive rebound and lays it in. Just snuck right in front of Phillips. Got the board in 2. Follow, high post, handed to Love. Caleb, jumper for 2 is up, rolls up, but the follow jam is there for KJ Lewis. Oh, that was beautiful. 7 points for KJ. Back for Collins, 8 to shoot. Collins steps left, fadeaway 3 is good.
Got the mismatch. Frankie Collins keeping Arizona State in this.
That's his 3rd 3 of the half. Boswell, the Arizona rebound. He'll run it the other way. Boswell waits, stops, pops an open 3. It's up and good for Kylan Boswell. He started the game hot. It's his 2nd. Lexus to Tucson Charity 3. Out top for Boswell. Waits for a screen from Krivas. Works it left. Shoots a 3. Scores a 3. Oh, Kylan Boswell with some clutch buckets tonight. Another Lexus of Tucson Charity 3. 17 points for Boswell. Stops wing left. His pass stolen away by Neal. Drives on Bradley. Knocked away and stolen. Jaden with a huge play to get the ball back. Now the Wildcats with numbers. Ahead to Boswell. Out to Bradley. Drives to the bucket. Laid up good, and he's fouled.
What a play by Jaden Bradley on both ends of the floor.
Off to Larson. Drives to the bucket. It's good, and he's fouled. Caleb Love. Excellent pass to Pella Larson. Perez, top of the circle, turns on Larson. Perez, little ball fake, drives in, throw it up, good, and he's fouled. Miller back in. Cats inbound the ball. Sun Devils extending their defense. Bradley in backcourt ahead to Larson. Quickly ahead it goes to Love. Wide open three from the left wing is good for Caleb Love. Don't leave him open. And it goes to Neal the other way. Neal into the lane, lost the ball. Ballo picks it up. Ahead to Bradley. Drives inside to Johnson. And Keyshawn slams it home.
That's the delivery JB needed to throw. Keyshawn with the flush.
75-62 Wildcats. Here's Collins inside, blocked by Ballo, who snatches it out of the air. Arizona ball the other way. Umar ahead to Larson. Slam it home. That might be it. Tommy likes it. Bobby calls a timeout. Minute 54 showing Cats 81, Sun Devils 64. And we need to add here, Umar Ballo, 12 points, 12 rebounds.
He's done it again.
He has done it again. Miller standing dribble. 5 seconds to go. Listen to the Arizona fans here. As the clock will run out, Cats win it. Arizona 85, ASU 67 the final. Impressive win against a rival on the road. And now it's back home to play their senior game on Saturday against Oregon.
A pretty thorough victory by the Arizona Wildcats on Wednesday night in Tempe over the Arizona State Sun Devils. Wildcats won at 85-67. All 5 starters scoring in double figures. Umar Ballo, an 8th straight double-double, 14 points, 13 rebounds. He had the blocked shot you heard there. Jaden Bradley with a beautiful steal and one. All on a one play. And Kylan Boswell, again, overcame a week in which he was in the headlines. A lot of chatter about him and whether he's up to the task. And all he did was go out and go 7 for 9 from the field, 3 of 4 from the line, and score 17 points. Caleb Love doing his thing, 16, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And Arizona completes the sweep of the Sun Devils. And there's nothing better than, okay, of course, we hear Tommy Lloyd after all these games and what he thinks of his Cats, but there's nothing better than to hear what other people think of your ball club. Let's hear what Bobby Hurley had to say after the game about the Arizona Wildcats.
I thought Arizona played a really good basketball game. And after watching them all year and playing against them now twice, I would say in my 9 years here, this is most likely the best Arizona team that I've faced. So they're a really good team, and so they deserve the credit for outplaying us in this game. It's the ultimate level of disappointment, but certainly I have to give credit where credit is due, and in my opinion, they are a very loaded team that has a chance to do a lot of damage the rest of the way.
Exactly makes you think that this is the best Arizona team that you've ever faced so far?
Because they have great bigs, they have a good system of how they move the ball. They put pressure on you because they could shoot. They have guys that could drive. When they're locked in, engaged, I thought they were engaged on defense, especially the first 12 minutes or so into the first half. You could see that they have the makings of something that's really pretty good.
All right, that is Bobby Hurley talking about the Arizona Wildcats, what he thinks of them, what their potential is, as good a team as he has seen J-Dub in his 9 years.
Yeah.
As the head coach of the Sun Devils.
Yeah, I mean, it's subjective. There's been some good teams in the last 9 years in Tucson.
True.
And I think, when you look at the senior leadership on this team and Umar Ballo, right? I mean, there hasn't been a guy like that to command space. And that was the biggest difference between these two teams, in my opinion, last night. They just couldn't handle Umar when he was being a forceful down on the post, 6 for 6 from the field. Also, the defense off the bench, DK. I mean, this is the best defensive perimeter group I've seen off the bench in, I don't want to put a name on it, but it's been a minute, right? They have so much intensity between KJ and Jaden Bradley, especially off that bench. It's just a really, really hard team to match up with because you think about Colin Boswell, Pella Larson, Caleb Love, all very good defenders. Keshad, maybe the best defender on the whole team. Umar clearly lately has had more lift. He's blocking a lot more shots, dominant on the boards. And then you got to deal with those guys off the bench. And, Mount Krivas has had his moments as well. I think it may not be the deepest team in the last 9 years, but as far as that 8-man rotation, I'd have to agree with him. I think this is the team that has the best chance to come up and deal with any type of style that they may see moving forward.
Arizona State made a number of runs in the second half. Let's hear some more from Bobby Hurley on his club and how they did not give up on that game last night, despite being down 18 about 7 minutes in.
You talked to anytime that you lose the way we did at Arizona and then you're down 25 to Washington in your own building and you fight all the way back to overtime and you lose. And that's another setback. And then what do you got? You're playing the team that's in first place that just beat Arizona. And what do? You circle the wagons and you go compete. And they did it. And I thought they had opportunities to back out of this game, and they didn't. So although we're not having a fantastic season, there are teams that are freaking brutal, right? They stink. And they've given up and they don't compete. And that's not what your team is doing. Now, I know we're all disappointed. We just lost to Arizona, no one more than me. But we might need a dose of reality and just realize that Arizona's really good. We didn't play anywhere near to an A-plus game, which was totally necessary. And there's a lot of frickin' bad teams in college basketball. And our players have competed through a lot of adversity this year, and they haven't quit. So I'm happy with my team.
As he should be. I mean, again, there was a good showing by the Sun Devils. Like he said, U of H just better, but they could have wilted away, and they did not do that in front of their home people. They just kept swinging, got back to 5 with it a number of times in that second half, but Arizona just too much juice at the end.
It's just so tough because the style that Bobby's played traditionally there, the 4-guard, 5-guard lineups require shooting, DK, and that's the worst shooting perimeter team in the conference right now. So I agree. I'm not, quote, proud of the Arizona State Sun Devil basketball team. And from the outside looking in, what he said right there about that team not giving up, they have a lot of deficiencies in that roster, and all those guys played hard. They made a really nice run, and we said it last night. Listeners, if you weren't available at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning for our post-game show, we talked quite a bit about adversity, and the Arizona Wildcats' 45-point wins don't help you moving into March. You want to see teams come back. You want to see the crowd make that amount of noise like they did up there in Tempe. So overall, great game for Arizona, and certainly the Arizona State Sun Devils are still playing hard late in the season.
All right, we're joined by the third member of our program. Cricket is here on a Thursday. Cricket, how are you?
Good afternoon on our extra day of the year.
Extra, yes, it is. So I don't know if you were here yesterday. We were talking about my wife. Her birthday is August 29th.
Oh, is it?
So she was happy because she gets her half-year birthday this year, which she only gets
every 4 years.
Every 4 years,
Oh, well.
Exactly. So it's 6 months until my wife's birthday. Should I start planning gifts now?
I was going to say, what does one give their wife on their half birthday?
I think that one's gold.
Gold, yeah.
I think that one's gold.
Wow,
I'm pretty
geez.
sure. You didn't know, did you?
Well, then I failed miserably for today.
Well, your wife told me that.
Oh, so I'm sure she did. I'm sure she told you that indeed. Growing up, did you know kids that were born on leap year? Did they feel bad that they didn't have a birthday every so often?
Well, I think I had a leap year birthday friend, and her parents would celebrate on the 28th and the 1st. And, of course...
Both days. Well, see, that's what
I was asked last night, what do you do? And I said both. I said, you got to do the 28th and the 3rd and the 1st. Yeah, got to.
Agreed.
Wow. I would have thought we would pick one or the other.
Well, it's midnight. It basically, the midnight changeover from 11:59 p.m. to 12:01 a.m., right? That's your day. That's when your birthday is. It just doesn't exist. So somewhere there in the middle.
So she had 2 birthdays then. Essentially, she would get
every 4 years. But on the 4th year, she would get 1 birthday.
One birthday, yeah.
So for 3 years, she would get 2 birthdays.
So did you get her 2 gifts ever?
2 cakes.
No.
No, 2 cakes.
No, I didn't do that.
You did not do that? Oh, okay.
No,
And you
I,
gotta
I
get-
mean, I was a little young.
All right.
I was hustling
So
bubble gum on the corner.
Right.
I heard about you and your
Earning
bubble,
pennies at
your
hopscotch.
bubblegum hustle. Yeah, taking people's money from hopscotch and
And
jacks. There you go. All right, getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and your weather is Cricket.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together with a collision at Craycroft and Golf Links westbound, slowing on Golf Links at Craycroft. Busy traffic on eastbound Grant at Columbus, Grant Road at I-10, Speedway at I-10, also Valencia and Midvale Park. 47 and clear tonight, 76 sunny tomorrow and 70 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs. In store only, offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
Did you miss the big game? We got you covered.
Rashada will take the snap, play fake, sets up, looking to throw, nowhere to go. Now he'll run it to the near side, being chased and sacked. Back at the 41-yard line, Jacob Manu.
DK on the Sports Tip, 3 to 6 weekdays.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8695. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-8695. That's 800-575-8695. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Are you ready to adopt? Come to the Humane Society of Southern Arizona. When you adopt from us, you will save more than one life. You'll also make room for the next pet in need. The Humane Society of Southern Arizona has been compassionately serving pets and the people who love them since 1944. Our knowledgeable adoption matchmakers will help you find the right pet for your home and support you after you adopt. We are open 7 days a week at our main campus at 635 West Roger Road. Learn more and see adoptable pets at hssaz.org.
Wildcat fans, join head coach Adia Barnes and the Arizona women's basketball team in McHale Center this season. Single game tickets start as low as $17 and are available for purchase now. You won't want to miss the fierce competition coming to Arizona. Tickets are available at ArizonaWildcats.com/WBK. Arizona women's basketball. Let's pack McHale Center.
You know it. Your neighbors know it. And let's face it, the mailman knows it too. Your yard just isn't what it used to be. But thankfully, Dorado Rock Materials can get you, well, your yard anyway, back to what it once was, and even better. Dorado Rock and Materials has just what your yard needs, from decorative rock to boulders and everything in between, brought right to you. And if you need help spreading it, we can help with that too. Dorado Rock and Materials. The right service, the right product, the right price.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So See what you can say. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
Your home for in-depth conversation.
Nothing they do is by surprise. They telegraph what they want to do, and then they brag about it afterwards. It's a way to keep us at each other's throats.
The most pressing issues.
This was just a white-on-black crime, and you can already see the narrative starting to form in real time.
And fresh perspective.
The air marshals will not be on the airplanes because they're down at the border escorting illegal aliens to their Ubers.
America's most loved truth tellers live on Tucson's home for conservative talk. This is Freedom 1400. Wildcats Radio 1290 is everywhere. Wildcats fans can listen to us everywhere on our all-new app. Now available from the Google Play Store and the App Store for iPhone users. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
I thought learning a language would be too much work, but Babbel makes learning fun. J'aime Babbel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes, and soon you turn and realize, hey, I'm starting to speak another language. How'd that happen?
Babbel isn't robots talking. You learn words and phrases from real native speakers. I was ready for real-life conversations in just a few weeks. So easy.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number for you to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. In fact, text APP to 520-848-1290. I will send you a link. You can download our app. It's got all of the great stuff. It, in fact, slaps. So head on over to our app right now. We've got a full recap of last night's win by the Arizona men's basketball team over the Sun Devils from Arizona State, 85-67. I've got a preview of what? We've got a preview of tonight's game between – actually, no, they didn't give me a preview of the Suns up there today. But I do have a preview of the Arizona Coyotes game tonight against the Toronto Maple Leafs as the Coyotes try to break a 13-game losing streak. That is something that has to happen, and quickly.
That's a lot.
Also, it is game night here in Tucson. The Arizona women's basketball team will take on USC. Juju Watkins and the women of Troy are in the house tonight. That game will start at 6 o'clock. We will have coverage beginning at 5:45, so a little bit shorter show by about 15 minutes than we normally have. We'll let you hear from Adia Barnes and some of the seniors. It is senior weekend, so we'll let you hear maybe a little bit of what the seniors had to say ahead of this weekend against the women of Troy and the Bruins straight ahead, as well as we are going to chat with Kenny Lofton. Kenny Lofton, U of A basketball class of 1989, Major League Baseball All-Star, member of the first Final Four team here at the University of Arizona. He is being inducted into the Ring of Honor on Saturday at Senior Day, and that is going to be something to behold, to see Kenny go up into the rafters. So we'll talk to Kenny Lofton about his induction into the Ring of Honor.
I love me some Kenny Lofton. I mean, as a kid, again, I've said this many times on the show, pre and post, but not much in the afternoon show, but Kenny's open court dunks, I think he led the Cats and Steals after he retired, which is the reason he's going in. Very lightning quick, probably fastest baseline to baseline player I ever saw, which obviously helped in his base stealing in Cleveland. But those breakaway dunks, DK, I mean, because he wasn't the tallest guy. And so it always looks so much better when a dude's got bounce and he can get up there. And he had a signature double pump reverse, Kenny Lofton, in the open court. Just amazing to watch. I can see it in my mind from my childhood watching Kenny dunk in McHale.
That's that signature double pump from a guy his size.
Yep.
That's pretty impressive for sure. All right, Wildcat men coming off an 85-67 win over ASU last night. They'll have their senior day I mentioned on Saturday. We'll get a chance to talk to them again tomorrow. There'll be 5 seniors present, Keyshawn Johnson, Caleb Love, Umar Ballo, as well as Pella Larson, and I believe one of the other walk-ons is going to be present as well, one of the walk-on seniors will be present. I'll get all the names for you coming up here shortly. But we will have that. We'll have Tommy Lloyd's press conference for you tomorrow at noon as he gets set for Senior Day. But we want you to hear what Tommy had to say after the game last night as the Wildcats knocked off the Sun Devils in Tempe.
Is that game pretty much what you expected with the ebbs and flows and all that?
For sure. Well, we knew it was going to be a hard game. I'm happy we got out to a good start, and but we knew. I knew they were going to respond in the second half. But you're always thinking that as a coach. I was just hoping we could come out and hit first in the second half and maybe extend our lead a little bit, and then just really test them. But it didn't happen that way, and I thought our guys did an incredible job of kind of managing a little bit of chaos in that second half.
How important was it to see Kyle come out and play? Boswell to come out here and play the way he did.
It was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, Kylan is a really good player. And, I know he's been on the microscope a little bit, and that's what happens when you are the point guard at Arizona. But I thought he played exceptional today, and to have 17 points in this atmosphere for an 18-year was pretty awesome.
Is that maybe a little bit of that tough love you were talking about the other day?
It could be, for sure. Kylan and I, we have great conversations, and it's definitely love. I don't know if it's always tough, but yeah, to see him come out and respond like that, I think that's a great sign for our team.
Caleb had a quiet night, but he's had a big night, hitting some key.
Tester is the play.
You're listening to Tommy Lloyd's post-game press conference here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Caleb's clutch. He's clutch, and he's not afraid of that moment. And I thought he did a good job. Maybe he pressed a little bit there when they made a little bit of a run, and maybe mishandled the ball or two. And then he kind of settled in, and opportunistically he had a couple big shots. When you're up, I don't know if we're up like 9 or 10 points, and they're pressing. You throw the ball at the sideline, and he's wide open from three. As a coach, you're like, this is good, but if he misses it, it's kind of what they want, because it's going to be a quick shot, and for him to knock that down, that wide open three right in front of our bench was awesome.
When you were on Van Pelt last night, you mentioned the importance of getting in some close games. Maybe the final score wasn't that way, but the number of times that they got within 2 scores, and you were able to just kind of extend.
Yeah, it felt like a close game for sure, and we need to be comfortable doing that, and you got to be able to find a way. And sometimes maybe it's a play call from me that works, and a lot of times that doesn't work. It's players finding solutions, and our guys did a good job of finding some solutions in a tough second half.
What was said with the technical?
I didn't swear at anything. I thought the guy, on one of those either they grabbed the rim with his left hand, and I think he did. I don't think I haven't seen the replay, but. Yeah, that comes with the deal. Mike Reed is one of the best officials in the game, and a guy I have a ton of respect for, and he has the right if he wants to tee me up, and that's his right.
There were a couple instances where there was a turnover and there was transition, and your guys got back, and either it was a foul or getting a steal or something like that. Did you see a better effort in that respect?
Yeah, we always talk about transition defense, and you don't want to turn the ball over, but that happens. And when that happens, you have to have a response. So to get back, I think we had a big one where we went down there and made a strip, and that kind of came down in offense. I don't know if we scored or not, but it was a big turn of events for sure.
That was Jaden Bradley's bucket. He stripped it in and scored on the other end. Just talk about his game.
Yeah, JB was great today. Him and Kylan, the combination of those two was exceptional, and they both kind of had foul trouble, so we're kind of yin and yanging them a little bit at the game, and JB ended up out there in that finishing lineup, and that's something I'm totally comfortable with. JB's a winner, and he makes big plays, and I always know he's going to, and he's not scared of the moment.
With the level of how's he kind of developed as a passer over the last couple games? He seems to be seeing the floor a little bit.
Yeah,
better.
he's getting there. He's getting there for sure. Playing in our systems maybe a little bit different. It just takes time. And for all of our guys, I still think, passing to me is a premium skill and something we work on and talk about a lot. But I also understand it takes some time to develop, and I've got to continue to coach it and pay attention to the detail and help him out.
With the level of shooter Kylan is, how have you seen him find that balance between picking his spots and remaining aggressive?
Well, yeah, I always want Kylan to be aggressive. I think Kylan's playing with two of the best playmaking wings in the country. And Caleb and Pella. So, when Kylan's out there, he doesn't necessarily need to dominate the ball. Kylan can get off the ball and then give it to one of those guys, and they can play in the actions. And then, Kylan's a great floor spacer, and when he's hunting, catch, and shoot shots, he's a really good player.
From when Caleb got on campus to now, where have you seen him improve the most?
Man, he was good when he showed up. He really was. And what's been so cool is how coachable he's been. And you coach him. Not one time has he ever, given me any indication with body language or a reaction to think that he's not absorbing what I'm telling him. But you know what the great ones do? The great ones still have enough conviction to have confidence in themselves to kind of do it their way. So it's a little bit of a yin and yang between a coach and a player, and that's been a fun dance. And I'm really proud of him. And he's a really special player.
Tommy, you have 5 players in double figures tonight, 6 when you guys played ASU the first time. What does it say about this team's ability to share the ball and share the load, especially in this matchup?
Well, that's something we take pride in. And, we want to be able to not be a team that you can load up and focus on one guy. And to have different guys be able to score, it's really special. And, we talk about, like I said, our basketball, our shots, our effort is always far superior than my shot or your shot. And so, collectively we're better together. And we need to, down the stretch here and get ready for the postseason. That needs to be reemphasized over and over and over.
You've had senior days before, but this is going to be one involving guys that have kind of been with you the whole time that you brought in here. Is there just something extra special about that?
No. I think the greatest thing I've ever heard is, he wasn't here today because he was sick. The legend Bill Walton was supposed to be the color commentator, and he said something to me that really is resonated with me. He and I were together at a social deal, and someone came up and introduced himself and said, "Bill, I want you to meet my stepdaughter." And Bill stopped him and said, "Excuse me, you mean your daughter?" And so whether I recruited guys or not, I coached them, and they're part of Arizona basketball. So I love those guys like they're my own, and would treat them no different than whether I recruited them or someone else recruited them.
What have these guys meant to your program and just the path that they've laid ahead of them for?
Well, they've been a lot, but it's hard for me to get emotional or sentimental right now because we have so much work we're still trying to do, and I think our group understands that, and we're locked in on the pursuit of greatness. So, but they've been awesome. I remind myself all the time, how much I love coaching this team and how much I love these guys.
And then looking ahead, you have Oregon next. What have you seen out of them in terms of what they've been able to do this season?
To be honest with you, obviously Oregon's talented. Dana's a great coach. I have not really even seen a possession of them since the last time we played. So, the bus ride home will be a time to start firing up the Oregon tape and figuring out what that looks like for Saturday.
The seniors, you have 3 of those guys technically have the COVID here. Do you think they're all definitely going, or do you know?
I don't know. Listen, we haven't even had those conversations. We're so focused on now that we're not there, and that's their right at that time to explore it. And I'll be here to support them with whatever decision they want. But we have not had one conversation on, what next year looks like for them. 100% we're focused on what it looks like for Arizona basketball right now.
So anything you made about the turnout of Arizona fans that showed up tonight and turning it back to the heaven?
We always say, some programs have fans, we have followers. Our fans are one of us, and no matter where we go, they're going to be there. And you hear those U of A chants get fired up. It's something special, and I'm proud to be the head coach at Arizona basketball. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't remind myself how fortunate I am.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats, Tommy Lloyd, after an 85-67 win over the Arizona State Sun Devils, Wildcats, and Oregon Ducks on Saturday at McHale Center. It seems like I should be saying tomorrow, but because the Wildcats played on Wednesday, we've actually got 2 days in between.
My brain is
a game.
Convinced it's Friday today.
Right? Exactly. No, you still got a whole another day left to get to Saturday. And so we will have the coverage beginning at 8 a.m. Once again, second straight Saturday. Our coverage will begin at 8 a.m. with the Countdown to Tip-Off show. And, of course, 12 o'clock will be tip-off with Brian Jeffries and Ryan Hansen. I mentioned Kenny Lofton is going into the Ring of Honor, the third of the 3 inductees this year, along with Benedict Matherin and Christian Coloco, recent graduates of the program. Kenny Lofton, though, going all the way back to 1989, was on the 3 regular season Pac-12 championship teams in 1986, 1988, and 1989.
My favorite class ever.
Yeah.
Because that was Sean Elliott, Anthony Cook, and Mr. Lofton. So,
Right.
I mean, the best shot blocker I ever saw, best player I ever saw, and Kenny, best theft thiever I ever saw, and quickest player I ever saw. So, yeah, I love that senior class. Such a great class.
200 steals in his career, 67 as a senior, set the single-season record. That stood until 1997, and it is because of he led the steals category for 6+ years after he graduated. That is what makes him eligible for this honor that he will receive on Saturday. We will talk to Kenny Lofton about his induction into the Ring of Honor. It's DK on the Sports Tip, along with JW Madden. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. Cricket, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by O'Reilly Chevrolet. With collisions reported at La Cholla and McGee, a crash golf links in Craycroft near Davis-Monthan, traffic signal work at Roger Road and First Avenue until 6 tonight, and those traffic signals malfunctioning at Oracle and Rudisill. 47 and clear tonight, 76, sunny tomorrow, and 70 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by eBay Motors. eBay Motors is here for the ride with the parts you need for the prices you want. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is what a party sounds like. This is what O'Reilly's 100-year anniversary party will sound like. Save the date. It's March 23rd, right here at the dealership.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Wildcat fans, join head coach Adia Barnes and the Arizona women's basketball team in McHale Center this season. Season tickets are on sale now. You won't want to miss the fierce competition coming to Arizona. Season tickets are available now at ArizonaWildcats.com/WBK. Arizona women's basketball. Let's pack McHale Center.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Our beautiful Arizona winter weather brings cooler overnight temperatures, which means some of you are now seeing your vehicle's low pressure warning light. Colder overnight temperatures can lower your tire's pressure just enough to trigger a warning light. But don't worry, many times the solution is simply adding the correct amount of air to your tires. Then get back to enjoying the fantastic winter weather. If adding the air doesn't do the trick, stop by any of our 14 area Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care locations for a free tire inspection and air pressure check. And if you need help with the low pressure warning light, we fix those too. Mention this radio offer for free installation with the purchase of any new tire pressure sensor. We'll install it in your wheel and rebalance your tires absolutely free. You'll find even more specials to get your car road trip ready at jackfurriers.com. So call ahead, make an appointment online, or just drop by. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Since 1960, we're here to get you there.
DK on the Sports Tip, 3 to 6 weekdays.
Brian Peabody.
My biggest thing is get back. If you don't get back in transition D, you'll never play.
I got one of your former players at Greenfields here.
Player is very generous. I was not a player. I was just a guy who sat around on the bench. I was on your second team back in '92, way back when.
We didn't have a second team. We only had 6 players. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. And I wasn't even good enough to be on that rotation. So there you go.
Wildcats Radio 1290.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save many families up to $500 a month, and that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening. It's kind of like that. Mm-hmm.
Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Mm-hmm. Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
Mm-hmm. You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that?
Mm-hmm.
What'd he say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
Mm-hmm. It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, the one and only play-by-play home for Arizona Athletics is 1290. So if you're listening to Arizona football, men's basketball, and baseball, you have it locked on 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290. DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is the number for you to get in on today's program. Senior Day coming up for the University of Arizona men's basketball team on Saturday, the final home game of the season. It also will be the final induction into the Ring of Honor. Ben Matherin went in this year. Christian Goloco went in last week. And finally, we get to the third man and the oldest man on the list and one of the original Final Four members under Lute Olson, Kenny Lofton, heading into the Ring of Honor, and he joins us now from Los Angeles, California. U of A basketball class of 1989. Kenny, did you think this would be an honor that you would ever be bestowed upon you to see your name up there the rafters when you came back to McHale Center?
Wow, no, this is something that is a honor. It was a surprise to me, and just being a part of that class, being up in the Ring of Honor, I was lost for words when I found out.
So let me ask you, Kenny, because we have Kelvin Ifan, who does a lot of our analysts on the basketball shows, and he came out of high school as a basketball football kid, started on the basketball team here, went over, decided to play football after he got here, and became a captain and on the best team in school history, 12-1. When you were coming out of high school, what baseball opportunities did you have, and why did you choose to play basketball instead here at the University of Arizona?
Well, first of all, when I went to visit Arizona, it was kind of a no-brainer. But the option of playing baseball and basketball wasn't given full scholarships, so that was the first thing that I knew that I had to go basketball because they was given a full scholarship because I couldn't afford to do a part-time baseball scholarship.
Yeah, and I think it's very similar to that right now. When you got here, I mean, we've heard just the stories about your leaping ability, the things that Kenny could do for a guy his size. When did you kind of develop that? How old were you when you realized you had the ability to kind of jump out of the gym?
I think I started my sophomore year, the summer of my sophomore year. That's when I knew I was able to really jump out the gym. And once I started, I didn't look back. It was one of those things to where I started jumping up in the air. Next thing I know, I was trying to touch the square. So it was one of those things at my height. And again, I just knew it was going to be something cool to be a part of, just to be able to dunk like that.
So who recruited you here? I mean, and what was your relationship like initially with Lute Olson?
Well, who recruited me was a coach named Kenny Burmeister. He was the person that recruited me, and then Luke came out to watch me play, and I guess they liked what they saw with my speed and my athletic ability.
What was it just like? You get here now, and obviously you're around all these incredibly talented players. Sean Elliott, probably one of the best players, if not the best player in school history. Anthony Cook's on those teams. Steve Kerr. I mean, what was it like kind of, ingratiating yourself into that culture as that program was starting to establish itself as the dominant program in the West?
Well, once I saw that, I knew we had the ability, and it's coming in as, like you said, Sean Elliott coming in as a freshman. We called him the mini Magic. But then we had, like you said, we had Anthony, Steve Kerr when I came in, and Tom Tolbert, Joe Turner. So it was just one of those things to where me playing basketball, I knew I didn't have to do a whole lot because those guys were just as talented in their own right. So I just felt like for me, I just needed to work on me doing my job as a point guard and just let them pretty much, do what they were going to do.
Kenny Lofton, U of A basketball class 1989 is our guest. He's going to be going into the Ring of Honor Saturday when the Wildcats take on the Oregon Ducks. What did it mean for you guys to clinch that first trip to the Final Four?
I think it was something that was brewing when I came in as a freshman. The talent was there. We just had to put it all together. And once we all understood our roles on the court, I think it was a no-brainer that we was gonna, to be a special team. And I think during that year we ended up hitting number 1. And that right there just kind of took all of our hearts and the state of Arizona, the city of Tucson, to see that now we have a number 1 ranked basketball team, on the court. And it was, again, the whole city was going crazy, and we were all excited about it.
They made T-shirts. I remember. I think I still have one of those T-shirts in a closet somewhere.
Well, we had T-shirts, and we had Harvey Mason putting down the wild about the Cats, and it was everyone was wild about the Cats at that time.
Kenny, we play Wild About the Cats every single post game after wins this year, so we still got it rolling.
Nice again.
What do you remember about that? What do you remember about that whole process? And how did Harvey present that to the group?
Well, again, everyone knew Harvey because of his dad. He was all in the music, and Harvey was always doing stuff in the studio already. And for him to come out and say, we got this song, I want you guys to hear this. And once we heard it, and it was like, this is pretty cool. And he kind of put the flair with all the different guys, and the players had their own little thing of parts to it. It was just amazing Harvey to just have that thought up in his head and to put it out in the forefront.
Were you waxing any lines back in the days like that?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't waxing no lines, but I know I had my line that they told me to, pretty much, mine was, Ellie is here. It's time to play, And then Sean came back and said, they want me in the NBA.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of ironic that it came out that way. And Sean just said they want me in the NBA, and they got him, and he got some championships.
Kenny Lofton, our guest. He's heading into the U of A Ring of Honor on Saturday when the Wildcats take on the Oregon Ducks. All right, Kenny, so your basketball career here ends. Everybody wants to know, so first of all, let's take one more step back. How often did you end up on the baseball field here as a Wildcat? Did you play in any games? I've heard stories that maybe you played in a few games while you were here. What was the actual extent of your baseball career here at U of A?
So the actual stint was I went out and worked out with the team, and some scouts saw me. But my actual little so-called playing on the team was because you have in a sense you have the varsity baseball, and then you had the JV, to where you played little JV games, and then they end up putting guys toward the varsity. So I didn't play I played JV games, but I had one official at bat on the varsity squad. After we went to the Final Four in '88, I went and worked out with the team, and that's kind of how I got that one official at bat.
So when the scouts kind of told you, okay, yeah, you might be able to do this, I mean, what were your thoughts? Did you think you were done with baseball at that point, or did you think it could be something eventually you might pick up again?
Well, I knew because, when I went out there, and then the scout name was I guess eventually Clark Chris.
Yeah.
came to me and I said, hey, I am a basketball player. I got my scholarship in basketball, and that is my first obligation. And after that obligation, I can do what I need to do. And he said, well, you can end up playing summer baseball and then going back to school and finishing your senior year of basketball. And once he said that, I felt like I can do both of them, and I did that.
I was talking to your assistant, Nance, yesterday. I said, well, let Kenny know I covered him when he was playing in Cleveland. Also a lifelong Cleveland Indians fan, born in Cleveland. Watched you help that whole group bring baseball back in the early 90s. I guess to be a part of that, to go to a city that had been so starved for a baseball winner, and to be a part of a group with Albert Bell and Oral Hershiser and Carlos Baerga and Paul Sorrento and all those guys, to bring that level of winning back to a city that had been so longing for it. How do you look back on that part of your career now?
I mean, again, for me, I thought it was, I was very excited about what I did in my career. And for me to be part of programs, to start from almost nothing and get it to close to the top, or not even, close to the top, because we didn't win it all. I just felt like that was who I was. I was there to be a part of something that someone says, you guys are not going to be nothing or whatever. But I felt like myself and the other guys involved, we end up putting the program at pretty much the highest level it can go. And I was glad to be a part of that. And I think it was just a testament of who I am and the guys that we had around us to want to go out there and try to be the best.
When you when was the first time you climbed a wall to catch a baseball? And did you do that in the minor leagues, or did you get to the big leagues before you realized I could go up over this wall and bring this ball back into the ballpark?
Again, it's so funny because I've had so many of them, so I don't even know the first time. But I know in Cleveland, one of the first time was because at the old stadium, I robbed a few balls. So it's hard to really say when, because every stadium was different. Some center field walls had a high wall, and some of them had some you can, pretty much go over it. But I knew me with my basketball skills. It was pretty much if a wall was close to 12 feet, I knew I can get pretty much that high.
Kenny, you think we'll ever see them bring back Slam Fest? I mean, you guys made that legendary. You and Ken Griffey and Barry Bonds and Deion Sanders.
And Michael Conley. No, they're not going to bring that back, I don't think, because I don't think they will. But again, remember, I am the reigning champ of Foot Locker Slam Fest.
Because you won the last one, right?
I won the last one, and I have the trophy sitting at home. It's kind of big and heavy, too.
Just so you know, we all tuned in, us Tucsonans, every single one of those. I think there were like 5 or 6, and we were all, because it had been a minute, Kenny, since we had seen you dunk, and we were all such big fans. So as far as Tucson was concerned, that Slam Fest, you had a lot of fans watching for sure.
No, I did. It was awesome. It was in Phoenix, and I had the crowd behind me. So I had that whole Arizona crowd, and the other guys was like, man, Kenny got this crowd behind him. All he got to do is make his dunk, and the crowd went crazy. So it was cool.
Kenny, I know you were one of the guys that came in town a number of years back for the funeral of Dr. Gail Hopkins, longtime administrator at the university. Just speak on his legacy and what he meant to you.
Again, for us and me, again, being a player coming from the hood and didn't really have a father figure at the university, and I felt that, Dr. Hopkins was one of those father figures that helped us along the way, and he knew all we needed was just to get a little bit of chance. But a good thing about Dr. Hopkins, he got on our butts all the time, made sure we were in study hall, and we respected him because he treated us, again, like a father, and he came to us, he put us to the side, and he put his finger in our face, and he said this, and you respected that because he came at you like that, and he wanted you to do better. And I think everyone respected him for that because he cared about each and every one of the guys that went through McKell and went through study hall at McKell.
Kenny, before we let you go, just in terms of Sean Elliott, I mentioned earlier he's probably one of the best players, if not the best player in the history of this program. When you break down his game, what was so special about what he could do on the floor, and what did you most enjoy about playing with him specifically?
I think I enjoy, again, we all got on his defense. He didn't play as good a defense, but we said if you're going to play as good an offense as you do, and when you go one-on-one, it's a wrap for the whoever's defending him. So we was like, Sean, don't worry about defense. We will pick up the slack on defense. If you're going to keep balling like you do on the offensive side, we don't want you to get tired on for defense. We want you to be, on top of your game for offense. And that's exactly what he did. And again, I think we all told him that I think the reason why people couldn't defend you because they were scared of that big old brace you had on your leg.
So not only did you defend Sean Elliott in college, but you also defended Albert Bell in the big leagues. I would imagine it was the same conversation with him. It's like, Albert, don't worry about that ball in the gap. I got that. You just worry about going up to the plate and hitting home runs.
You said exactly right. I had Albert on one side and Manny on the other side. So I told them guys, they helped me get a gold glove because I told them just sit there and cover the lines. I got the gap.
And real quick, Kenny, what was we didn't even talk about the fact the reason you're going in is because you're one of the best thieves in the history of Arizona basketball. What was the key to you getting all those steals back in the day?
Again, for me, it was all about being aggressive, and that was what I was all about. And I think having great instincts on the basketball court and reading the offensive players who got the ball and what they were trying to do. Again, it was all about anticipation, and I felt I had that knack for that.
All right, Kenny, hey, we can't wait to see you here this weekend. Safe travels over here from L.A. It's going to be a special day seeing your plaque unveiled in the rafters here at McHale Center.
Thank you. I'm just very excited to see what it's going to look like, and it's just an honor to be a part of that.
Kenny Lofton, Arizona basketball class of 1989. He is headed into the Ring of Honor.
Elliott's here. It's time to play. They want me in the NBA.
That's not bad right there. Elliott's here. It's time to play. That is awesome. Awesome stuff. You hear it after every win, and you'll continue to hear it after every win here as this season. Well, as long as I'm at this radio station, you'll hear it after every win for years to come for Arizona basketball. All right, next hour, the Cologuard Classic hits town next weekend. Jeff Hill from the Conquistadors is going to join us. It's at a new location, La Paloma, up in the foothills, and Jeff will tell you all you need to know about how to navigate the event this year, coming to Tucson with the PGA Tour champions. It's DK on the Sports Tick. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by O'Reilly Chevrolet. With collisions reported at La Cholla and McGee, a crash golf links in Craycroft near Davis-Monthan, traffic signal work at Roger Road and First Avenue until 6 tonight, and those traffic signals malfunctioning at Oracle and Rudisill. 47 and clear tonight, 76, sunny tomorrow, and 70 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Staples Stores. Now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs. In store only, offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
Tucson, it's time for the Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, March 8th through the 10th. Now at La Paloma Country Club and the Westin La Paloma Resort and Spa. See some of golf's greatest players compete for the coveted Conquistadors Helmet Trophy. It's PGA Tour Champions Golf at its finest. And Friday night, under the stars, see Midland and Roger Klein and the Peacemakers live in concert at Rito Park. The Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, benefiting colorectal cancer awareness in youth sports. Tickets and more at cologuardclassic.com.
Can't get enough of your Arizona Wildcats? Make sure to stop by Taco Bell in the spring for a meet and greet opportunity with some of your Arizona men's basketball players at Taco Bell. Pick up your favorite Taco Bell combo and live Moss with an autograph or photo from Kylan Boswell and Keyshawn Johnson. Taco Bell, locally owned and operated, and proud partner of Arizona Athletics. Bear down and live Moss.
This season, the Cats will take on the Bruins, the Ducks, the Trojans, the Beavers, the Utes, the Buffs, the Huskies, the Cougs, the Cardinal, the Bears, and the School up north on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Our beautiful Arizona winter weather brings cooler overnight temperatures, which means some of you are now seeing your vehicle's low pressure warning light. Colder overnight temperatures can lower your tire's pressure just enough to trigger a warning light. But don't worry, many times the solution is simply adding the correct amount of air to your tires. Then get back to enjoying the fantastic winter weather. If adding the air doesn't do the trick, stop by any of our 14 area Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care locations for a free tire inspection and air pressure check. And if you need help with the low pressure warning light, we fix those too. Mention this radio offer for free installation with the purchase of any new tire pressure sensor. We'll install it in your wheel and rebalance your tires absolutely free. You'll find even more specials to get your car road trip ready at jackfurriers.com. So call ahead, make an appointment online, or just drop by. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Since 1960, we're here to get you there.
It's the final season of Pac-12 women's basketball. Tune in this Saturday as Adia Barnes and the Wildcats welcome the 8th-ranked UCLA Bruins for their final Pac-12 trip to McHale Center.
Yes, that's awesome.
Tip-off is at 6 p.m. only on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Here's an important message from University Termite and Pest Control. The weather is cooler here, and so pests are seeking alternative housing. Do you need a professional? University Termite and Pest Control has been serving Tucson since 1974. You can be assured University Termite and Pest Control will keep you pest-free using the most responsible products and application methods. 28 school districts, 3 hospitals, 2 colleges, 1 university, and thousands of homeowners trust University Termite and Pest Control for the past 50 years. You can too. University Termite and Pest Control. Find us online at bepestfree.com.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey listener, welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Why does 1290 run this town?
It's simple. 1290 is the only radio station that can bring you Thursday, Sunday, Monday Night Football, the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl. Scoreboard 1290.
This is the home of the Wildcats.
This is Wildcats Radio 1290. Remember, the one and only play-by-play home for Arizona Athletics is 1290. So if you're listening to Arizona football, men's basketball, and baseball, you have it locked on 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what? Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Hour number 2 of our program today. A week from now, we're going to be talking a whole lot of golf because the Cologuard Classic makes its return to Southern Arizona, and it's in a new place this year, up by where I live, La Paloma Country Club in the foothills. We are pleased to be joined now by the executive director of the Tucson Conquistadors, who put on this annual event every year. His name is Jeff Hill. This is, I believe, Jeff, this is your second go-around for the Cologuard Classic as the executive director, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on. Good to be here, guys. We're really excited for the 2024 event this year.
How are things going to be different this year? You got a new location. Things have moved over from Omni to La Paloma. Let's first kind of dive into the decision to change venues and what went into that.
Yeah. It was a pretty hefty decision. Obviously, there's a lot of variables involved when it comes to selecting a golf course. We got to think about the competitions of the play inside the ropes, and then also kind of where we're going to build a small city on a golf course with all of our hospitality venues and our ticket options. So we came to La Paloma. They have 27 holes at a Jack Nicklaus designed golf course, and we rerouted the holes to incorporate all 3 nines. So we're going to be playing 18 holes, a mixture of all 3 of the nines there, and the course is in fantastic shape, and it's looking like we're getting 70 degrees and sunny for the entire week. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you were here the year it snowed.
I was here. I got an extra hour of sleep that night.
Well, actually, that's last year. It snowed for the Cologuard last year. I was actually talking about the year that it snowed for the Accenture back not too long ago. We've had a number of years for these golf tournaments where it has snowed. What kind of was it for you? Let's kind of maybe let folks that don't maybe know about you. You grew up here in Tucson, played high school golf at Rincon University High School, and then went on to the U of A. What made you fall in love with the game of golf?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get an unpaid internship with the PGA Tour. I started golfing when I was 8 years old and went up through the Ricky Rarick programs, JGAA, AJGA, and so I couldn't get enough of it. So I started getting into the business side of it, and I ended up traveling the country, fortunately, with the PGA Tour for about 8 years. I've just moved back to Tucson after being gone for about 12 years, about 2 years ago. And so it's good to be back home. Got a lot of family and friends here. And the Tucson Conquistadors organization is a great group of guys to be surrounded by. But I was also tied into the motorsport world with Formula One and NASCAR when I was living in Austin, Texas. So I've been around the event world for quite some time, and I'm excited to be back at this hometown event.
So what have you learned kind of maybe working amongst these different entities about how to run an event like this?
Yeah, it runs very similarly all over the country, but every place has its nuances. I've hosted events that have 500,000 people in over 3 days, and I've hosted events like the Color Guard Classic, which we see about 40 or 50,000 people over 3 days. And so they all work about the same, but there's a lot of logistics and a lot of planning that go into it on an annual basis. And our end goal is to raise some of the dollars so we can give back to youth sports in Southern Arizona. So we're heading in the right direction. We're looking to give hundreds of thousands of dollars back to the community this year, and we're really excited that we can find a new location that's able to host us to keep professional golf in Southern Arizona here in Tucson.
Jeff Hill, the executive director of the Tucson Conquistadors, is our guest. It's the Cologuard Classic next weekend over at La Paloma Country Club. You mentioned that you guys are going to be playing this tournament on all 3 of the 9-hole setups. Are there many tournaments that do that?
I've only been a part of a couple that's rerouted a golf course like this. It isn't uncommon to see a reroute of a golf course, but it's unique when you have desert golf now. So going from the Omni Tucson National, which is more of a kind of a championship style traditional golf course, to Jack Nicklaus design in the desert is a little bit different. So it challenges you both on the competition side, but also outside the ropes when we got to entertain some of our guests. And I think we've hit the nail on the head with that, and everyone's going to have a great time.
So then let me kind of maybe clarify. Then it's not as if like I'm going to be playing 1 9, you're going to be playing another 9. You've actually taken the 27 holes and coordinated into 118 is how that works.
Yeah, that's correct. So we're playing one of the 9s. It's the Ridge 9 over at La Paloma as its true routing.
Okay.
And then the Canyon and Hillside, we split basically half and half, four holes on one side and 5 holes on another side. And we got fortunate that the paths connect pretty close. And so we're really excited to kind of showcase the entire golf course, really.
All right, so what do folks need to know that are coming out this week? Because obviously we've never done this before here. We've never been to this course. It's up on River Road. Where do people need to park? What are going to be the points of entry? How's that all going to work?
Yeah, great question. And first and foremost, to get tickets, you can go to colorguardclassic.com. But we've also partnered with the Community Food Bank. Our title sponsor, Exact Sciences, who raises awareness for colorectal cancer and screening, has donated basically the entirety of the Saturday tournament for free for our guests. So if you go down to the community food bank or you stop by Dr. Rao's Plastic Surgery or the Neurosciences Center for Tucson, you can drop off a can of green beans or a box of noodles and get a free ticket to the event on Saturday. So that's your cheapest way to gain access, but our ticket prices are only start at $39. We're almost sold out of our hospitality and VIP products, so those are going very quickly. But parking, we have a few different parking spots for the golf tournament. Their general admission parking is going to be located at the University of Arizona Controlled Agriculture Center. That's basically off Roger and Campbell. So you're only about 2 or 3 miles away from the club. It's a short 10 to 15-minute shuttle ride up to the course, and they drop you right in front of the clubhouse. So your entrance is right there on the 18th green, and it's a pretty easy access. For everyone that has preferred parking, we're right off of Sunrise, just adjacent to the golf course near the Suncrest building over there. So they'll have some easy access as well. And then we also have rideshare available that'll take you straight to the event too.
Now, I know that at Omni, you guys had a kind of one of the par threes had a grandstand. Will you have a grandstand par three at this location?
Yeah, that's going to be our 17th hole, and it actually has a dual view of the 18th tee box. So you get a little bit more golf here at La Paloma with some 360 views and some views of the Catalina Mountains, which is pretty awesome too. But I think it'll be kind of a party hole, not as crazy as the Waste Management, but I think people are going to get out there, they're going to gamble, they're going to have fun, and hopefully enjoy some of the good drinks and good food.
Well, I'm glad you went there because that's I want to ask you a question that I've kind of talked about a little bit about, and of course, I've never been to Waste Management. It seems to always fall on Super Bowl weekend, and for a number of years I've been tied up with that other event. But one thing I've said is that I think that every tournament, every PGA tournament, should have a hole like that. Not maybe to the and I don't invite the craziness that we saw this past season. I thought it was a little bit over the top, but I think a party atmosphere, a fun atmosphere, stadium like situation, par three situation, I would put that on every single tour tournament in the PGA. Do you think we'll ever see something like that? Because I think that atmosphere attracts people. You got to, treat it correctly and not go overboard. But I think a par three stadium hole at every tournament would be a great thing.
Yeah, we agree. I think it's an awesome atmosphere. And really, it started before Waste Management. It started with the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup. I mean, there's a lot of these tournaments that we're hosting that style of atmosphere where the fans get engaged, and it brings new fans to the sport. There's so many things that you can do with golf, even beyond the golf, to have some fun with your friends. Golf is almost becoming secondary in the sport now, to where you get to see some awesome professionals kind of cure their craft around the golf course, but it's really about being there with your friends, your family, and just enjoying the atmosphere. So we're starting to see a lot of people that haven't been engaged with golf come to the game and enjoy it. And then they get out on their leisure time. I know there's Top Golf now, which is a great atmosphere if you don't want to walk 18 holes, but golf in Southern Arizona is not too expensive. And so I think a lot more people are starting to grow the game and get involved.
All right, Jeff, I don't know if you want to break any news on the show today. I haven't seen all the names of people that are coming. I haven't heard anything about Jim Furyk yet. Is he on the docket potentially?
We are waiting to hear from Jim Furyk. There's rumor going around that he's going to show up, but we have one of the best fields on the entire season. Just because we have a break between their tournament last played in Morocco. They had a week off, and so a lot of guys want to get back out there. But we did get a commitment from Davis Love III, which is a huge name for us. We have the likelihood of Steve Stricker, Jerry Kelly, Padraig Harrington. I mean, there are so many big names. Stuart Sink is another one that just turned 50 who's starting to play on the Champions Tour. So there's going to be some guys out there that are still competing on the PGA Tour that are going to be playing our event. So we're really excited to host these guys, and they're always having fun at our tournament.
Jeff Hill of the Tucson Conquistadors is our guest. He's the executive director. It's the Cologuard Classic next week up at the La Paloma Country Club. Jeff, you won a state championship in high school at Rencom. What was that like?
That was awesome. I got fortunate to be close friends with Michael growing up, and I know he's a professional player on the PGA Tour now, and I know he's married with kids and kind of moved on to the other part of the country, but he was our lead player. I played number 2 or 3 slot right behind him, and I ended up playing soccer in college for a couple of years, and I kind of got rid of the golf aspect of it. But then I got into the business of golf, and quite honestly, it's more rewarding now that you can kind of give back to the community, and that's what the Tucson Conquistadors are really all about. So either way, whether I'm playing or I'm behind the desk, I'm having fun doing it.
Outstanding. Well, we are looking forward to everything that's going to be taking place here in Tucson next week. Again, Jeff, let folks know where they can get tickets.
Yeah, if you go to colorguardclassic.com or go to rocqfest.com, we're hosting a Midland country concert on Friday night at Rayito Park as well. So looking forward to watching the country artists kind of bang the drums and have a good time.
Jeff, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us, and best of luck next week. We look forward to getting out there and seeing everything.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Appreciate it.
Jeff Hill, the executive director of the Tucson Conquistadors. It is the Cologuard Classic. The PGA Champions Tour is back in Tucson next weekend for their annual run. New location again this year, La Paloma Country Club, up on up on Skyline and Sunrise actually at that point of the where it goes, and then it'll begin the play next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and all kinds of events leading up to that throughout next week.
It was fun growing up here watching all that be built, because I grew up at Swine River.
Yeah.
So, that whole area up there north of Swan and north from there, I mean, Ventana I watched get built and all the others.
Wow.
So it's amazing now to drive through that area and see how built up it is, remembering the desert from back in the day. It's 10 times better than it is now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. It's funny as a person growing up in that area in the 70s and 80s to see what it's become, because it's just amazing how much they've done in that area specifically.
I would imagine like where I used to work out at KOLD out there on Cotero, there was probably nothing back out there
for sure.
in the 80s. that was definitely the suburbs at that particular time. All right, we will have much more coming up for you. We are going to talk to PJ Brown before we conclude here today. We'll get you set for Arizona women's basketball tonight against the Women of Troy from Southern California as they make their last trek in here for a Pac-12 weekend, and it'll be the Bruins on Saturday, a doubleheader. We will be on the Click Plaza Saturday after the men's game. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our post-game show from the Click Plaza on Saturday. So we will be there, and we'll wrap things up, U of A and Oregon men's basketball, leading you in to the final home game of the season for the women's team as they take on the UCLA Bruins. So join us after the men's game. We'll be out on the Jim Click Plaza, Hall of Fame Plaza there by the Lute Olson statue on Saturday after Arizona men's basketball takes on Oregon. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather, here is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. New collision reported on Colossal Cave Road south of Mary and Cleveland Way. Other collisions, Craycroft north of 5th Street, La Cholla and Ruthroff, River Road and 1st Avenue. Crash slowing southbound 1st at River and backups on eastbound River east of 1st Avenue. Signals malfunctioning at Oracle and Rudisill. 47 and clear overnight, 76, sunny tomorrow, and 69 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Albertsons and Safeway. Albertsons and Safeway pharmacies make it easy to get your flu shot and updated COVID booster. Protect your home, office, and community. Walk-ins are welcome, or skip the line by making an appointment online. They're free with most insurance. Some restrictions apply. See pharmacy for details.
Wildcats Radio is the one and only home of Jim Rome and CBS Sports Radio.
I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's nice. It's good.
Tucson knows the home of the jungle is also your home of the NFL. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Experiencing the natural wonders comes easy at Rock & K. Nestled at the base of the Rincon Mountain foothills. Enjoy stunning mountain views up close every day. Hit the community trails, explore local parks like Saguaro National and Colossal Cave, and mingle at private Diamond Community Park events. In the top-rated Vail School District, Rock & K is close to work, shopping, and services. Tour 11 different model homes by top-tier builders, offering move-in ready homes and special incentives. Live RockandK.com. Designed by Nature, proud U of A radio broadcast broadcast sponsor.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is, this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. 800-462-3333.
Supertramp ruled the 80s with a chart-busting Breakfast in America.
It was early morning yesterday.
Friday, March 1st at Fox Tucson Theater, Classic Albums Live performs this iconic album, note for note, cut for cut.
Watch what you say. They'll be calling you a radical.
The music that found its way into your heart, performed by master musicians who absolutely get it right. Classic Albums Live performs Supertramp, Breakfast in America. Get your tickets now at foxtucson.com.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I do make everything about me.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
My passport is in the pocket of the duffel bag I took to Mexico.
At Mattress Firm, we know the right mattress matters. We also know that price does too. So if you see a lower price somewhere else, we'll match it. Plus, you get free and fast delivery. Shop in-store or online at mattressfirm.com. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Tucson area attorneys. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois only. CordellCordell.com.
Paid for by Cordell & Cordell.
Hey everybody, this is Dan Bespris, host of Fantasy NBA Today, a daily fantasy basketball podcast. We cover every box score from every game, every day. Plus bonus shows on buy low opportunities, players to stash, schedule analysis, and really anything you could need to smash your league into deliciously tiny pieces.
Catch the Fantasy NBA Today podcast, part of the Believe Network, on YouTube or wherever you listen.
Wildcats fans from coast to coast can bring a little bit of Tucson to themselves wherever they happen to be by streaming 1290 on our website at wildcatsradio1290.com. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. DK on the sports tip on Wild 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. We got a chance to speak with Kenny Lofton today, the outstanding basketball player here at the University of Arizona, baseball player in the major leagues, 14 years that he played in the major leagues, a 6-time All-Star was Kenny Lofton. Rich Carrillo checks in, says, DK, Kenny Lofton is the man, full stop. Nothing was sweeter than watching him run that baseline and Lutz occasionally used 1-3-1 defense. Loved seeing him tear it up with the Tribe. That's Rich Carrillo.
So fast, DK. It's hard to explain to people who didn't get a chance to see it in person, but I've seen a lot of basketball. Kenny Lofton was a blur.
So this 1-3-1 defense. So he was the one guy at the end.
Yeah. You know how we always talk about Lute really loved, especially on out of bounds plays, when a dead ball situation, on especially sideline out of bounds type of thing, you would see him switch the defense just to keep them off balance. So he had, I would say, 5 or 6 styles of defense that he would play, predominantly man, but you'd see the 1-3-1 trap on occasion, and you had to have one guy sprint that baseline from corner to cover, because the three-pointer came into the college game, I want to say 86, 87, that year. So it was pretty new. It was pretty new getting out to those corners to cover three-point shooters. But yeah, Kenny Lofton was one of the quicker guys to do that. Other guys, who've run that, maybe you think of Hassan Adams, kind of guys like that who used to run, because you had to have a super athletic guy, DK, because you're talking about, running from one corner to the other, not staying in the corner, but you got to go back and forth pretty quick. So yeah, Kenny Lofton was great in that role.
All right, Arizona women's basketball going to play tonight against the USC Trojans. Juju Watkins and company are going to be in the house. She has really been one of the most dynamic players in the Pac-12. However, dynamic player in women's basketball made a dynamic announcement today, something that we have been talking about on this show about whether or not some of these talented players would come out and go to the WNBA, or whether they might stay in college because of the abilities of NIL and the money that they can make as college students. But Caitlin Clark this afternoon made it clear she's going to the league. She is going to the WNBA. I don't know if that's necessarily surprising. I mean, I think in the world, again, I go back to when LeBron James came into the NBA. LeBron James was making $90 million his first year through endorsements.
Sure.
And I think that's going to be the same thing for her.
Well,
I mean, I think the endorsement level for Caitlin Clark is going to be so huge that she can eat. I mean, it's not going to be about what her actual WNBA salary is.
How old was LeBron when he first hit the cover of SI? That was like 15, right?
Right,
I mean, he was a sophomore when I first saw LeBron James on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So clearly, he already had that pull. This is before social media. Strike while the iron's hot, right? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Iowa with their run this year in the tournament. It could be something similar to what we just saw. But as far as popularity goes, you hear her name, obviously, because she's breaking every single record. I think she's about 20 shy of Pete Maravich, who did it in 3 years on the men's side of breaking that record. So it's just a matter of her popularity may not be higher. The argument we've made, as you just said, was in her home state, right, as being that popular, the NIL money must be, being thrown at her quite a bit. And when you're talking about the WNBA, there's a lot of star power, and some of those names we've known for such a long time are maybe on their way out. So I think, first of all, her game is perfect for a much more spread out, open style and quicker style of basketball. So I have no doubt that she'll be just as successful, if not more. You look at people like that in her style of game, and the bigger size, much quicker players, she's just going to have. She's going to be able to get up as many shots as she wants. It just depends, obviously, on what offensive style she goes to. But I would imagine whoever drafts her is going to draft her to put 20-plus shots up every night.
I think Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, has the number one pick.
That's right, the Fever.
Yeah, the Fever. I think the Mercury did have the number 3 pick, but they traded out of it as they went through their off-season moves to try to bolster their roster again. And one of the reasons they probably did that was because there was a lot of uncertainty about who was going to come out. Not that they probably would have ever been in a position to have a chance to take Caitlin Clark. She's going to be the clear number 1 selection. But the Mercury chose to go in the veteran direction versus maybe trying to build through the draft with a high draft pick. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've got a pretty veteran ball club already with the likes of Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi. So you might just want to take other veteran players and build around that to try to make one more run versus trying to maybe put a younger player into that mix and see if you can get maybe 1 or 2 more chances out of that group before they all go off into retirement. So.
Yeah, and I mean, Caitlin Clark's about the closest thing to Steph Curry we've seen on the women's side of the game. So not to say that there aren't a lot of prolific outside shooters in WNBA. Certainly there are. And I think with her popularity at this level, taking that professionally, it's just gonna be a huge boost to ratings, I'm sure, for that league and any game she's involved with, because she has such a following. Her game is so appealing to the eye, DK, and that's if she goes 0 for 10 from 40 feet out, it might not be too fun to watch. But just look at the shots she broke the Division I scoring record on. It was 30 feet out. Off the dribble, off a rebound, just brought the ball up and just launched from 30. I mean, people like to see that these days. Steph started all that, and it's going strong.
I mean, it's insane to think you could break a record on a shot like that. I mean, It was just, but that is, like you said, that's exactly the type of player that she is, and you would expect that would be the kind of shot that she would set a scoring record on.
You know, we just had Kenny Lofton on, and I got to tell a quick story, but people think that the Steve Kerr chant in McHale came from his three-point shooting. It did not. So he played 3 years in college without a three-point line.
Yeah.
Only his senior year. He was out his first senior year. He sat out because of a knee injury. Came back and played the 87-88 year. The Steve Kerr chants came because they wouldn't guard him, and he would shoot from 28 feet out with no three-point line, DK. So this is the equivalent of a 2-point shot from the same distance that Steph and Caitlin Clark are shooting from right now. I watched Steve Kerr with my own eyes in McHale shoot consistently from 25 feet, 28 feet out, and make them like they were a layup because they wouldn't come out and guard him. And that's where those Steve Kerr chants came from, just because we hadn't seen anything like it.
Yeah. Great memories indeed. 520-848-1290. You want to share, well, the next 2 days, because we have a show today, we have a show tomorrow. You can share your thoughts on Kenny Lofton. If you saw him play here back in the day, obviously it was during my college days. So I vividly remember watching Kenny Lofton play basketball and beating up on the USC Trojans. I talk about the night we came in here my sophomore year. We lost by 40 points. Famously, that was the year of that first Final Four team. Just a tremendous athlete with a jumping ability, like you heard him say, man, starting in grade school when he realized he could jump out of the gym and he just wanted to get up there and touch the backboard. That's just something not a lot of people can do. Maybe we might see it tonight in Phoenix at the state championships. It is two Southern Arizona teams playing for the 4A titles today. On the girls' side, you've got South Point Catholic. The Lancers will play this evening for a basketball title. And then on the boys' side, you're going to have the Saguaro Cougars playing for a state championship. The girls' game starts at 6 o'clock. The boys' game is scheduled for 8 o'clock. We will have for you a interview coming up. We're going to talk to Andy Morales. Andy Morales will join us. He is up in Phoenix at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum to cover the state championships tonight. So we'll talk to Andy and hear his thoughts and get you a little bit of a preview. If you missed it the other day, we had a chance to talk to Cisco Lamas and Nick Pons from the Saguaro Cougars. So head on over to our website, wildcatsradio1290.com, and you can hear that interview with those two fine young men from the Saguaro Cougars basketball program. We're joined by the third member of our team. Cricket is back with us. Cricket,
DK.
I am going to Las Vegas for 2 weeks.
What? Wait a sec. Who authorized this? Wait. I don't know if it's going to be really people-y.
People-y.
Yes.
It is going to be people-y there. That's for sure. When is Las Vegas not people-y, right?
Truth.
2
Summertime.
weeks. How do I survive Las Vegas for 2 weeks? I've been there maybe I think the longest I've ever stayed in Las Vegas is maybe 4 days, 5 days, maybe.
That's a long time.
But not an entire 2 weeks.
It's a good self-control test.
Really?
Yeah.
It is going to be. I might not come back with much money.
Yeah.
I might blow my entire bank account.
Ooh, $50 on
there.
black.
$50 on black.
First roulette.
That's what
table
Shannon
you see.
tells us,
That's
right?
That's what Shannon Black says.
That's what Shannon Black says, $50 on black.
First table you
Would
see.
she say, would it be Red if her last name was Shannon Red?
I think it would.
I am perplexed. That's a good question.
Nobody's ever asked her that question, right?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think you need to survive Vegas by eating at all the buffets.
Oh,
you need
wow.
to eat everything.
So you would prefer that I eat at all the buffets
and drink everything.
And drink everything. Then actually maybe eat like in all of what's the big time cook? What's his name?
There's so many.
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Does he have a Hell's Kitchen
I think
or something?
he's got restaurants. I think pretty much at every hotel, right?
Oh yeah.
So I should not sample all of his restaurants. I should just sample the buffets.
I think you should sample all the buffets and all of his restaurants too.
I don't think I have that big a budget.
You don't have a budget for like bottle service and 5-star restaurants every night?
I don't think Kenny Kowalczyk was authorizing bottle service.
Oh, is this work? Is this for work? Of course it is.
Well, you thought I was going to Las Vegas for 2 weeks just to hang out?
Yeah, you're right.
It is absolutely a work trip.
I'm sure you're going to be watching some basketball.
A little bit of basketball. We've got the Pac-12 women's basketball tournament next week. So we'll be there starting Tuesday for that. The Wildcats will play Wednesday. If they win, they'll play Thursday. If they win, they'll play Friday. If they win again, they'll play Sunday.
Okay.
And then we've got the men. They won't come until the following Thursday. So I'm going to have some days where I might be able to try to get myself into some trouble or whatever not. And then they'll play Thursday, Friday if they win, Saturday.
And Cricket, you don't got to worry because the budget does not include bottle service for JW. So I will be here in studio with you. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
You guys can bring your own bottle in here and hold it down on this side. How about that?
Okay.
Sounds like a challenge.
Grape juice, and we got to come up with a fancy name for that. Grape juice and some. That sounds like a good song there. Anyway.
And gin?
And gin. Grape juice and gin. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Getting you home. Every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
And from the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together with collisions. Possible wreck reported westbound I-10 at Ruthroff, El Camino del Cerro. There are slowdowns on the westbound side of I-10 as you approach Ruthroff. Ruthroff east of I-10, a crash reported there. McGee and Shannon clearing. Colossal Cave Road south of Mary and Cleveland Way, and at Oracle and Rudisill, traffic signals malfunctioning. 47 and clear tonight, 76, sunny tomorrow, and 68 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Save now at Dell.com/deals.
Okay, kids, we're home. Everybody out.
Ew, my feet are stuck.
In what, honey?
On the floor.
Ew. Take off your shoes. Tommy, come carry your sister into the house.
What do you do when the car you use the most has the least amount of time to get clean? Let Recon Auto Detailing, Arizona's premier auto detailing company, come to you and turn your busiest car back into your best. From basic cleaning to a full detail, Recon Auto Detailing. Online at recondetail.com.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening. It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What'd he say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Tucson, it's time for the Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, March 8th through the 10th. Now at La Paloma Country Club and the Westin La Paloma Resort and Spa. See some of golf's greatest players compete for the coveted Conquistadors Helmet Trophy. It's PGA Tour Champions Golf at its finest. And Friday night, under the stars, see Midland and Roger Klein and the Peacemakers live in concert at Rieto Park. The Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, benefiting colorectal cancer awareness in youth sports. Tickets and more at CologuardClassic.com.
Did you hear what Coach said this week on the Tommy Lloyd radio show?
Arizona's extended Tommy Lloyd's contract through 2029. Thanks for sticking around, Coach.
Thank you, guys. It was obviously a pretty easy decision. We're humbled and thankful that we get to call Tucson home and I get to coach at Arizona, so thank you, guys.
What's the most challenging aspect of your job?
Oh, wow, man.
Coming here Monday night talking to me is probably...
Yeah. Working with you, Brian, is so hard.
The Tommy Lloyd radio show, Mondays at 6 o'clock. You miss a week, you miss a lot. Wildcats Radio, 1290.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care.
Our beautiful Arizona winter weather brings cooler overnight temperatures, which means some of you are now seeing your vehicle's low pressure warning light. Colder overnight temperatures can lower your tire's pressure just enough to trigger a warning light. But don't worry, many times the solution is simply adding the correct amount of air to your tires. Then get back to enjoying the fantastic winter weather. If adding the air doesn't do the trick, stop by any of our 14 area Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care locations for a free tire inspection and air pressure check. And if you need help with the low pressure warning light, we fix those too. Mention this radio offer for a free installation with the purchase of any new tire pressure sensor. We'll install it in your wheel and rebalance your tires absolutely free. You'll find even more specials to get your car road trip ready at jackfurriers.com. So call ahead, make an appointment online, or just drop by. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Since 1960, we're here to get you there.
The Dell Technologies semi-annual sale is on, with limited quantity deals on top tech. Save on select PCs powered by the latest 12th gen Intel Core processors like thin and light XPS 13 laptops, Inspiron laptops, and 2-in-1s. Plus, get savings on select accessories, free shipping, and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Why does 1290 run this town?
It's simple. 1290 is the only radio station that can bring you Thursday, Sunday, Monday Night Football, the NFL playoffs, and the Super Bowl. Scoreboard 1290.
This is the home of the Wildcats.
This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We can't keep snake plants in stock.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could add a whole section for ferns, and here we'd have dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290 is the number. Call us at that number. Text us at that number. Text app to 520-848-1290. I'll send you a link. You can download our app. It is a high school championship Thursday night here in Arizona. The Conference 4A titles are on the line, and boys and girls from Southern Arizona have a chance to bring back both of those gold basketballs. Let's get you a little bit of a preview on what is happening tonight up at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. We are joined by the legendary Andy Morales from All Sports Tucson. And Andy, let's start with the girls. It is South Point Catholic trying to win a second title in the last 3 seasons, and they've done it with Talia Henderson, who is arguably, if not the best girls player in the city, one of them. And boy, did she have a big ball game on Tuesday night in the semifinals to get the Lady Lancers to this point.
Yeah, she had 17 points and 17 rebounds. Coach Lubano pulled her out with about 6 minutes left. They were way up. They had doubled them up. No need to keep her in there, but it would have been everyone's counting to see that she got to the 20. But they're all juniors, so it's expect another year of this for South Point, and everyone north of Eloy is pulling for Mesquite, so they're going against that. But I think South Point has a great shot.
Obviously, Talia had a little bit of an injury earlier in the season. Is she back to 100%?
Yeah, it's in my day, I know it would still be out, but these kids, man, she's jumping, she's rebounding, she's shooting, running the floor. Sometimes she brings the ball up. She wears the brace and mostly psychological in the pre-game shooting. But yeah, she's back.
And then on the boys' side, so that game will tip off at 6 o'clock. Andy mentioned Gilbert Mesquite, the number 2 seed, against South Point Catholic, the number 1 seed. And then scheduled at 8 o'clock, it'll be Jim Henry's boys from Saguaro who are taking on Deer Valley in what will actually be a rematch of a early round game in the Open division. First of all, Andy, you've covered obviously high school sports for a number of years. We talked a little bit earlier this week about the Open division concept. I like kind of how it works on the basketball side because, you know, you get a chance to compete in that Open, but if you lose out, you get a chance to drop back down to your conference and play for the opportunity to go to the state championship, which both these teams in Deer Valley and Saguaro have done. They were in the Open, they lost out of the Open, but now they're playing for a 4A title. I like the way that it's set up in basketball for that.
Yeah, it's set up pretty nicely. If you lose in the first 2 rounds of Open Division, you get to go back to your conference. I know the conference opponents maybe don't like that. Like when the South Point girls lost, they came back, and that pretty much deflated a lot of people in the 4A conference. Well, you know, that's the way it works. And Saguaro, they've proven they're the best team in Southern Arizona, and now they have a chance to prove in the big stage. And it doesn't lessen the championship because you're not in the Open Division. It's just another opportunity, and that's what we're trying to give the kids. And what Henry's done there, I mean, it's like Dick McConnell. His legacy is still strong in the Saguaro community.
Jim Henry obviously now running that program over there on the boys' side. They've got a fantastic young guard in Cisco Lamas. How much have you had a chance to see Cisco play, Andy, and what do you like about him?
He runs the floor pretty well. Great player, great distributor, but it's a team effort, and you just don't know where they're going to come from. They had a setback at South Point. You know, obviously, you can only play a team so many times. But I'm looking for good things from them. A lot of people are giving them a chance. They thought they wouldn't get past ALL Gilbert North. But if you saw that game, you just saw what Saguaro was really about. And you know, he was a big part of that at the end.
You know, when you look at, you know, and I think we've seen this a lot, Andy, maybe the last couple of years, and we're chatting with Andy Morales from All Sports Tucson. We've seen a lot of young players coming into some of these high school programs and leading their teams to the state finals. We mentioned Talia Henderson did that as a freshman. Cisco Lamas is a sophomore. You look at Rosin Smith up at the Gregory School is a freshman. Are you surprised we're seeing a lot of these young players? I mean, Sabino's got a very young, talented 9th grade girl in Jada Holly. Are you surprised we're seeing young players being able to step in at the varsity level and have that kind of success?
I'm more surprised on the boys' side because typically coaches really don't give them a chance. They like to stick with experience. But if you have someone like Ross Smith on the floor. But on the girls' side, yeah, it's pretty common to have a young player because they're not going to be on freshman or JV. You need them on varsity. But, yeah, the boys' side, I think we're in a unique level here. Also, Saguaro's a city school, and I'm more surprised about that. There was a time where Saguaro had a good player. Palo Verde had, what's his name, Bryce Cotton. It was that era, and you were here in town that era.
Yeah.
All the city schools had one great player, and I think we're slowly getting back to that. But as far as being a young player, I am a little surprised.
Andy Morales from All Sports Tucson is our guest. It's the state championships tonight in Conference 4A. South Point Catholic girls against Mesquite at 6 up at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. As Saguaro boys taking on Deer Valley at 8 o'clock. They moved a lot of these games back to Veterans Memorial, I guess about 3 or 4 years ago. What have you found that works with this venue for a long time? I mean, I remember I covered games at Gila River Arena for a number of years. There were some games at GCU. Why did they settle back at Veterans Memorial Coliseum as a spot to hold some of these state championship games?
Well, I think it's because it's available. If you look at, like, it's very difficult. Like, you can't have concerts at McHale Center anymore because it's just not available.
Yeah.
ASU Stadium, whatever they call it now, is just not available. They're not going to give up a practice night for high school. GCU is a good program now. They don't want to give up their gym for high school. The vet is open. I think the WNBA used it for a couple of seasons. the only drawback for the media members is the internet. So you're talking about an old building. I mean, that's where the Suns first went to the finals back against the Celtics in the 70s. But they call it the Madhouse for a reason. But it's availability. There's just not many arenas that can handle that size of a tournament.
It's funny you said that, the internet, because I absolutely remember the first time I covered a state tournament game at GCU. The one thing I kept telling people was it's got the most remarkably fast internet I've ever had at any facility. It's like I was like it was the best, because obviously, working in TV at the time, and we send these large files, and I was like, man, my file got back to the station in like 20 seconds. It was like that never had happened at any venue in Phoenix ever. That's why I loved GCU.
You're talking about GCU, right?
Yeah, GCU, right.
I think they get it. It's a newer facility. They understand what the kids need, what the media needs, and it's fast.
Yeah.
And some of these venues, they don't take the media. Obviously, we're not the first. But who's the first to notice the internet? Media. And that's the only complaint about the Coliseum. But it's a great facility. A lot of history there. And they couldn't play at U of A tonight because the women are playing there tonight. So it reasons like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a tweet you put out the other day, Andy. So your daughter is coaching softball. Is it CDO?
Yeah, she won a couple state championships playing there. She went to play college, and she's teaching in the up-by district, so they asked her to coach JV, and she's doing really well. She coaches JV. So every year I try to watch her first game. And she's really good. I think they beat Santiago like 20-0 or something.
Oh wow!
But I coached her when she was little, and I knew right away she was going to be a coach. So she's just great. So I get to be a dad. Sometimes when I'm out there.
That's awesome. That is awesome to see your kids doing something that they love to do. His name is Andy Morales. You can follow tonight's coverage at allsportstucson.com, as well as head on over to his Twitter account as well. You got a number of Twitter accounts because you're all over the place with AZ Preps. Well, which account do you want people to follow tonight, Andy? I'll put it to you that way.
Andy Morales 8, I think, is my regular
Okay,
Twitter.
there you go. Andy Morales 8 on the thing called Twitter. You can follow all his coverage there tonight. Andy, enjoy the games tonight.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Andy Morales, allsportstucson.com. Again, it's the Conference 4A state championships tonight. The ladies will commence at 6 o'clock. It'll be South Point Catholic. They are the number 1 seed. They won it 2 years ago. They lost, I believe, in the semifinals last year. And they're back in the finals this year with Talia Henderson, one of the more outstanding players here in the city. They beat Australia Foothills 61-29 in the semifinals to get to this meeting. And then on the boys' side, it is the Saguaro Cougars back in the state finals. Again, you heard Andy mention Dick McConnell. His name has come up, J-Dub, a few times on our program as one of the legendary boys basketball coaches here in the city of Tucson, and it is great to see Saguaro and, like he mentioned, a city team. We talk a lot about South Point Catholic and Micah Mountain and some of these outerlying schools, and nothing against them, but it's becoming increasingly more difficult for the city teams to get to this point, and it's great to see Saguaro is there tonight.
Yeah, I mean. Coach Peabody, obviously famously is a Coach McConnell disciple or protege or whatever you want to call it. So when I was in school, we actually faced off against them a couple times when Coach was still there. Just a legend in the city. So great to see them doing well. I think it's always great to see a lot of teams in the past, DK, who may have had times of struggle that get back to that, that state that they're used to being in, because clearly a very proud fan base over there.
Saguaro has 4 state championships under Dick McConnell, 1970, 1982, 2000, and 2001. I believe he coached. Let me just double check to make sure he coached those last two. He did coach in 2000, and I did coach those championships. So back there for the first time since the Dick McConnell era, they'll have a chance to win it tonight.
Cousins lived in that neighborhood growing up. I had two cousins and an aunt. Marion and Martha were their names, and one of them, Martha, played for a state championship team at Saguaro on the girls' side. That would have been probably 95, 4 or 5, because she was a couple years behind me, but she was on that team. I don't think she was a starter, but she got a little bit of run. I do remember that they won on the women's side, at least back in those days they did.
All right, coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, we will talk to P.J. Brown. We'll get you set for Arizona women's basketball. We'll also let you hear from Adia Barnes. Right after the top of the hour, Adia talked a little bit about her roster construction. One of the big stories this week was the departure of Kaylin Gilbert, who will not be with the team for the remainder of the season. Adia was asked about just that. We mentioned it, that entire recruiting class from 2022 will no longer be with the program if Gilbert, in fact, leaves after this season is over. Obviously, she will not be with the team for the rest of the year, but none of the other players that came into that 22 class are with the Wildcats. Adia talked about that and how her roster transition has gone and what she's looking for this program moving forward. And we'll let you hear that in the 5 o'clock hour. It's DK on the Sports Tip. JW Madden's here. Cricket's here. How do I survive 2 weeks in Las Vegas? I didn't put out a question of the day today, but maybe that should be it. Love to hear from you on that.
Drink lots of water.
Lots of water. Bring my bathing suit. Hang out by the pool. Just chill. 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 You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Oracle and Rudisill traffic signals malfunctioning. We've got reported collisions, Colossal Cave Road south of Mary and Cleveland Way, McGee and Shannon, Alvernon and Speedway, and also Broadway and Park Avenue. Westbound I-10, some slowing at Ruthroff, possibly a collision off on the shoulder. 47 and clear overnight, 76, sunny tomorrow, and 68 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by eBay Motors. eBay Motors is here for the ride with the parts you need for the prices you want. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time, or your money back. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. 2 weeks ago, we celebrated Caitlin Clark passing Kelsey Plum for the most points in women's Division I history, but maybe it wasn't the real record. Lynette Woodard scored 3,649 points at Kansas from 77 through 81 before women's basketball was an official NCAA sport. But the game was still organized and competitive with plenty of talented players, yet the NCAA does not recognize any stats pre-1982. Clark passed Woodard with last night's 33, and afterwards, Hawkeyes head coach Lisa Bluter said Clark is now the #1 scorer for passing Woodard, and she's probably not wrong. Up next for Clark is Pete Maravich. She needs 18 to pass him for the most points by anyone ever. Like Woodard, Pistol Pete scored his points without the benefit of a three-point line. He also did it in 40-plus games fewer than Clark. I'm Andrew Bowditch.
PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app. I like playing on PrizePicks. So do the members of the XR4TI. You could win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. There are hundreds of players from more than a dozen sports to choose from. Pick one and choose more or less on the next performance. Download the PrizePicks app right now and use the code ROME for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code ROME, ROME, on the PrizePicks app. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Say, for the ones who get it done, Grainger is offering high-quality supplies and solutions for every single industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and the experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people even safer. So, call, click, Grainger.com, or just stop on by.
Grainger.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8695. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-8695. That's 800-575-8695. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Wildcats play here. This is your home of Arizona Wildcats football, men's basketball, and baseball. This is the home of the Wildcats. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. Your home for in-depth conversation.
Nothing they do is by surprise. They telegraph what they want to do, and then they brag about it afterwards. It's a way to keep us at each other's throats.
The most pressing issues.
This was just a white on black crime, and you can already see the narrative starting to form in real time.
And fresh perspective.
The air marshals will not be on the airplanes because they're down at the border escorting illegal aliens to their Ubers.
America's most loved truth tellers live on Tucson's home for conservative talk. This is Freedom 1400.
Good news, everybody.
We stay on the air with you for an extra 2 hours after every Arizona football and men's basketball game all season long. That's why we are the home of the Wildcats. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you with professional-grade industrial supplies. Count on real-time product availability and fast delivery. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
From the what?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket, getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Final 42 or so minutes of the program. We've got Arizona women's basketball coming up this evening. Live from McHale Center. Our coverage begins at 5:45 with Derek Palmer. He'll be on the call tonight. Arizona versus Southern California. The place where I went to college. You know, we don't call our women's basketball team there the Trojans.
Oh, yeah. What's that? What do you call
That's
them?
because that's a male term.
Oh, okay.
They are known as the Women of Troy.
I've heard that before.
Yes. So Juju Watkins and the Women of Troy.
What's the cheer squad called?
The Song Girls.
Song Girls, that's
the
right.
Song Girls, yes.
They're pretty
Not
famous,
the
too.
cheerleaders.
No.
The Song Girls.
Right.
Yeah, we were just different. Yeah.
Got to be special.
We were exactly spoiled, some people say.
I've heard that moniker as well at some point over the years. Yeah.
Well, I was raised pretty much an only child, so I was already spoiled before I got there. Maybe that's why I fit in so much there, because I was a spoiled child to begin with. All right, again, this is a huge weekend for Arizona women's basketball because they are going to be playing for really an opportunity to maybe potentially move up some more. They're currently holding the 7th spot They're going to play on Wednesday. Let's not kid ourselves. They're not going to play their way into the top 4. So the Wildcats will be playing next Wednesday in Las Vegas. It's just a matter of where they're going to be playing. Could they potentially get into the number 5 spot, which would put them in the 5-12 game with Oregon? That's possible. The Ducks have really fallen down the ledger in the Pac-12 this year. They're just 2-4 in conference play. But right now, the ladies are 8-8, Arizona, and they are 16-12 overall and sitting in the 7th spot, which would put them right now in the quarterfinal or the first-round game against the Washington Huskies, a team that they split with, losing in Seattle and winning in triple overtime here down in Tucson just a weekend or two ago. Tonight it is the Trojans, or Women of Troy. See, even I make the mistake sometime. The Women of Troy. And we had a chance to talk to Adia Barnes this week. Again, we mentioned Kaylin Gilbert will not be with the team for the rest of the year. And the fabulous columnist now over at the Arizona Daily Star is Michael Lev. And he asked Adia just kind of about how she's looked at the fact that her entire recruiting class from 2022, all the girls that came in as freshmen last season, are no longer with the team. Here's what she had to say.
I think it is what it is. I think last year, we talked about like making the rosters. Like last year, I brought some 5th years. I brought like Lauren Fields. Lauren Fields wasn't a 5th year, but she was a transfer. And then Jade, Lavelle, all of them. So it was one of those things. You bring 5th years or experienced transfers, your freshmen don't play as much. I think that was one of the things. So Lamaya was going to have to develop and get better. She wasn't at the level yet. Paris was a freshman, kind of up and down, missed a lot earlier. So it's natural, like the more experienced transfers are going to play. But like I think looking back, I probably would have balanced that a little bit better. But like in the end, Paris played 20 minutes. So in the end, I think she was getting her time. But that's one of the things. Right, this year, I knew we were going to take a step back because if I didn't, it was going to be the same thing. I would have lost all these kids. This was a top 3 class. So you think about it. You think about Jada, Skylar, and Montea's hurt, but you think about Jada, Skylar, Brea, it would have been the same situation. So let's say I would have brought 4 more transfers, which I could have. We could have brought more transfers. I would have been the same situation again. I would have lost this class. So I think there comes a point in the program where, like, how are you going to build? And, what do I do? Well, I'm better with a team that has continuity and stays together longer, like a couple of years. So, but what's the sacrifice of that? Winning games. And so if we would have got more transfers, we would have won more. So we would have probably won let's say 4 or 5 more games. We wouldn't have lost all these games close because we would have had more depth and we would have had more experience. But then the result of that is my hard work for 5 years would be lost again. It would have been the same thing. Because Brea, if she wouldn't have played a lot, she would have transferred. Jada, these are McDonald's All-Americans kids, she would have transferred. And Sky would have gone closer to home. She's not going to be all the way across the country and not playing. So it would have been the same thing. So building the roster this way, I didn't think I was going to start 3 freshmen, to be honest. But I knew they would play a lot. I knew that they would have opportunities. And I knew we wouldn't win as many games. So now the balancing act is bringing them back, developing them, and then bringing in some transfers that complement them. But we are going to bring in some good players. And so that's the balancing act that's hard. And you just got to kind of decide how you want to build.
Do you ever find your sort of goals to be at odds with each other, like what you want to accomplish as a coach versus general manager?
Absolutely. Last year was a perfect example because I wanted to win and I wanted to bring some good experiences. So I bring in the leading scorer in the Pac-12. Well, the result of that was people behind her not playing. And so I think you get to, obviously, because I want to win. I'm not here not to win. So it was hard not taking some of the transfers because I know we would have been better. We probably would have been a top 10 team. And so now we're not. We're not ranked for the first time in a few years. And we're not in a situation I wanted to be in. But also, I'm very honest about this, and it's probably a mistake. I schedule way too hard. Looking back, I didn't anticipate, because that stuff happens late, and the schedules are already done. I didn't anticipate this mass exodus, and so I wouldn't have scheduled the way I did at all. Because if I would schedule a little bit easier, let's say easier 4 games in a non-conference like I usually have, we would have already been in the tournament. It wouldn't even be a question, and we would have been a top 20 team. But I decided to play the Gonzagas, the UNLVs, go to the Bahamas and play like 2 really good teams, a good SEC team when they were healthy. And they had lost their best player the game after. And so we lost those games. And that hurt us because if we were sitting at 4 more wins right now, we're at 20 wins. And that's the balance, and that's the struggle, I think, a little bit. So the goal is to retain a core, bring Montea, and then build with some other, I have to get some other good players, though. I have to get, another scoring guard, especially with the loss of Caitlin. And then I have to get, I got to get some more depth in the post. And, and do I want to? Do I want to go get 8 players out of the portal? Absolutely not. You don't want to do that. But, I'm in a probably situation where they're getting 4 players. And that's kind of the reality. So that's the hard thing. And I think it can be really beneficial, and it can be tough also, because you're recruiting people for a couple weeks. You're not in the history of recruiting, Lauren Ware, Kate Reese. It's years. I recruited Brea since 8th grade. So there's the longevity. So the hard thing is you bring in another player that you recruited for a month. It's your 5 years of work. Maya since 8th grade. Caitlin was years of recruiting. It was years of work. It's hard. So those are hard situations.
That is Adia Barnes, the head coach of the Arizona women's basketball team, talking about her roster transition over the course of the last 2 years, losing all of her recruits from the 2022 season. And it's a very consistent message that she's laid out when she's been asked about this, and it goes back to what I said last year, even before I started doing the show, was that after watching kind of last year's team and what happened, I said there's no way that Adia Barnes can continue to and let's just take it back maybe even a step further. I mean, she built this program on transfers. I mean, look at all. I mean, now granted, there were some girls that she recruited. She recruited Kate Reese. She recruited Sam Thomas. But the majority of the impact players that got them to where they, were within a shot of winning a national championship were transfers. I mean, Dominique McBride, was a transfer. Ben Duyaney was a transfer. Harry McDonald was a transfer. I mean, you can go down the list of all the impact players. T.T. Starks was a transfer. I mean, all of those girls were transfers into this program. And sooner or later, you've got to start to build with a recruiting class. And she got a damn good class in 2022. But I don't fault her for wanting to get one more run out of that group that took her to the national championship game in 2021, obviously minus Ari McDonald, who was gone. But I kind of see where that comes from. You had enough talent, especially that next year, where they were able to get into the top 16. They were able to host the first 2 rounds. They just didn't get out of it. They had a bad night against North Carolina, a team that was probably pretty equal to them. If not, that's a Sweet 16 year. You didn't get out of that game, and that was a little bit disappointing. You still had enough, like she said. She went out and got the number 1 scorer in the Pac-12, and Jade Lavelle, brought her in here, and you were able to get a tournament win last year as well. So 3 straight years in which you won at least one NCAA tournament game. So I get the desire to do that. And I had said at the end of last year, I said she cannot recruit over this class that's coming in. And that's the class this year. There's no way you can recruit over that class, because even I had been, me with, who does not know a lot about basketball, but I could see the writing on the wall. Even I could see what was happening in this NIL era of girls just not wanting, and boys too, not wanting to sit and be freshmen and play behind veterans, because you don't have to do that anymore. So sooner or later, she was going to have to turn this over, and I think she made the right decision in doing that. Now, the remnants of players that left, again, to me, Arnett Vonleh is really the only one that has gone on to do great things. But again, that was a player who she was still in that mode where I'm trying to get as much out of this championship group as I can, so she recruited over her. But there was no way you could recruit over Brea Cunningham because she has got the makings of a star. There was no way you could recruit over Jada Williams. She has got the makings of a star. So she had to let this group grow. And it's really all about them. And if you listen to the press conferences, it's about those really 4 girls that are on this team, this freshman class. That is the future of this program. And I think some of the other young ladies who are no longer here saw the writing on the wall that it was going to be about Jada Williams, Brea Cunningham, Skylar Jones, and Montea Dew. And they decided it wasn't for them.
Does she runs about 9, right? Ideally in a rotation, 8 or 9 with that
8
defense.
or 9, yeah.
So that's the thing. We've talked about this quite a bit about, instant gratification and players wanting to get PT right away. It's like that these days. Transfer portals is for that. But to me, if you look at a roster and you look at Adia's style, DK, I mean, if I'm a player looking at those players, I want to play with good players, right? You want to play on a good team. You want to go far in March. You want to do all those things. I just look at that style that Coach Barnes runs, and it seems ideal to have, quick defensive-minded players to come in. Recruiting 10 superstars is never ideal. How many programs in the country, right? Connecticut, South Carolina, Stanford, people don't transfer out of Stanford, right? So, yeah, I mean, I completely understand star players wanting to get time, and I can't imagine that there aren't 5 young ladies out there who would love to play for a coach like Adia Barnes and would be okay with not getting 20 minutes a game right from the start because they can contribute to something bigger than themselves.
You would think so. That's the most mind-boggling part of it for me. I would think so. And I think you're right. I think there is. You just have to find those girls. You have to dig deeper to find those types of players. And hopefully Adia can do that moving forward so she begins to solidify, build around this core, adding in pieces that needed to be added in from the transfer portal and from the JC ranks and whatnot.
And I'll tell you one more thing really quick about this group. They love each other. I mean, just
It
watch a
seems
press
like that,
conference.
yeah,
Just watch
absolutely.
any press conference. This
Yeah.
group really loves each other.
They do. It's like
The ones who are here and stay, DK, they really, really care about each other.
Like as Mary said yesterday, California, they were looking for a street fight and they got one last Sunday in Berkeley. All right, we'll talk to PJ Brown about all of this as we lead you into Arizona women's basketball at the top of the hour, the Wildcats and the Women of Troy. But first, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather is Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together. Oracle and Rudisill traffic signals malfunctioning. We've got reported collisions, Colossal Cave Road south of Mary and Cleveland Way, McGee and Shannon, Alvernon and Speedway, and also Broadway and Park Avenue. Westbound I-10, some slowing at Ruthroff, possibly a collision off on the shoulder. 47 and clear overnight, 76, sunny tomorrow, and 68 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather together.
This report is sponsored by Dell Technologies.
This year, Dell Technologies wants to help you do amazing things with their best tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors, and more. Save now at Dell.com/deals.
DK on the Sports Tip, 3 to 6 weekdays.
Working on my hockey lingo.
You're
my
doing that.
jargon.
You're learning quick.
Do you know what icing is?
I love icing. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's the best part of hockey, isn't it?
Don't miss out on all the fun.
Sean Furrier for Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Our beautiful Arizona winter weather brings cooler overnight temperatures, which means some of you are now seeing your vehicle's low pressure warning light. Colder overnight temperatures can lower your tire's pressure just enough to trigger a warning light. But don't worry, many times the solution is simply adding the correct amount of air to your tires. Then get back to enjoying the fantastic winter weather. If adding the air doesn't do the trick, stop by any of our 14-area Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care locations for a free tire inspection and air pressure check. And if you need help with the low pressure warning light, we fix those too. Mention this radio offer for free installation with the purchase of any new tire pressure sensor. We'll install it in your wheel and rebalance your tires absolutely free. You'll find even more specials to get your car road trip ready at jackfurriers.com. So call ahead, make an appointment online, or just drop by. Jack Furrier Tire and Auto Care. Since 1960, we're here to get you there.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening. It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just AeroSeal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What do you say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
Listen to the home of the Wildcats wherever you are on your iPhone and iPad by downloading our new app in the App Store so you can tune in wherever you are 24 hours a day. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290. DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
All right, let's talk some Arizona women's basketball. PJ Brown joins us live from McHale Center where it will happen tonight. The women of Troy taking on the Wildcats as the final home weekend of the season, regular season commences for the Arizona women's basketball team, 8-8 in conference play. And PJ, this team, depending on what bracketology you subscribe to, is either on the bubble, maybe among the first few teams out, potentially already in. What do you think?
Hi, David. Hope it's not too loud here. I tried to find a little space that isn't crazy loud. McHale's pretty loud right now. A lot of people are already here.
Wow.
So the bracketology, I think they're close. I really do. I wrote a story that was in today's paper about how many teams the Pac-12 should get in and where Arizona currently is. And from everybody I've talked to, they're really close. Like so close that it's probably maybe a split this weekend and maybe one win in the Pac-12 tournament. If they win 2 in the Pac-12 tournament, that probably gets them in. There are a lot of things that go into, if the selection committee picks you for the field of 68, it's not only your whole resume, not only your big wins or close losses, especially if they're, away games, count just as much as a win does if it's close. But it's the last 10 games that you play. And if you look at Arizona at the moment, we don't know what they're going to do tonight. We don't know what they're going to do Saturday. But if you look at them at the moment, they're peaking at the right time. When you're on a 4-game winning streak, when you beat Stanford at Stanford for the first time in 23 years. When you not only do you beat them, which is an accomplishment in itself, a huge accomplishment, but then Sunday you come back, you don't have a letdown. You finish off, and not only do you not have a letdown, you really spank Cal. I mean, that shows that this team is right where it should be right now. It's a team that I would imagine the NCAA selection committee would like. Peaking at the right time, going against all the odds. They had their strength of schedule, I didn't look at it today, but yesterday when I wrote the story, it was 16. I mean, that's how hard their schedule has been this year. Not just the tough non-conference schedule that Adia Barnes scheduled this year with 4 ranked teams, but also, you have 5 teams in the top 25. 5 teams right now, I think 6 teams in the top 25. 5 now in the second reveal by the NCAA selection committee tonight are going to host. If the NCAAs were held tomorrow, 5 Pac-12 teams would host.
Wow.
Which means you're probably putting 2, 3, maybe even 4 other Pac-12 teams in it. I mean, you have to. It's the toughest conference top to bottom. So Arizona has the 16th best strength of schedule. They also, right now, their net is 33 coming into this game. Those are all really good numbers. And it all leads me to believe if they can just finish out in some way, whether it's a split this weekend, whether it's 1 or 2 plus 1 or 2 in the next week in Vegas at the tournament, they're in.
PJ Brown joining us from the Arizona Daily Star. It's Arizona versus Southern California tonight, women's basketball. Esmeri Martinez, National Player of the Week, Pac-12 Player of the Week after her performance on that Bay Area trip you mentioned, first winning Bay Area trip in 21 years. Could you have imagined we'd see this type of growth from Esmeri Martinez when she got here 2 years ago from West Virginia?
I thought she was a good player last year. I mean, the only thing that, I was like, clean up the fouls, right? Because they're calling fouls on you all the time. But I saw this in her every week. I'm just like, that's who she is and what she does. It's just that all of a sudden 2 things happened. One was somebody else didn't score more points than she did, right? And because that's what happens. If somebody scores more points, and as does what Esmeri does every single game because she's constant, people don't always see what she does. So if you have a game where she leads the team really in that Stanford game, I know Jada came up and helped them win at the end, but everything up to that was Esmeri. And then you have a game like she had Sunday with getting the elbow to the lip or the chin. People notice, and especially if it's a game against Stanford and you actually win, then people take notice. So, it's about time she got her nod. She's this type of player. She should have been, getting a few nods earlier in these last 2 years here. Another player who's like that is Helena Puello. I mean, you see what she does. She plays just about every single minute of every game. She stuffs. She's like one of the original stuffing the stat sheet kid, right? She had like 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 5 steals in the game last weekend. Really incredible stuff. And sometimes it's just because she's not scoring 20 points a game that people don't see it. She's one of the best defensive players in the nation. People should be watching her. Same with Esmeri. Esmeri is a great defender. They're both great all-around players. People need to be watching these 2, along with those freshmen, because those freshmen are the future, right? They're today and the future. But right now, if folks aren't watching Helena and they aren't watching Esmeri, way back on the East Coast, they're missing out.
Yeah. PJ Brown, Arizona Daily Star, writes the beat for Arizona women's basketball, is our guest. PJ, you cover this team. You've watched what has kind of transpired over the course of the last 2 years with a number of players leaving this program. Do you think there's anything that Adia could have done differently to maybe curb some of that?
It's interesting. When we talked to her in her press conference yesterday, she did say, well, maybe I could have played a few freshmen a little more minutes or done something like that. But, it's really hard when most coaches, along with her, you have to earn your playing time. So if they're not, it's not given. You have to earn it. So unless you're in a situation like you are this year where you only have 7 players, so everybody has to play, right? And you work your way through your mistakes. I don't know. I think the one thing when I talked to her earlier this year, everybody kept saying tough love. She's giving tough love this year. And I asked her what it meant, and I asked Salvo Copa what it meant. And it was sort of like, I love you, but I'm really going to be a little tougher, right? I'm really going to like you have to follow the rules, right? And I think what we're seeing is sometimes kids don't follow the rules when they get here or they get to any school for whatever reason. They think that the rules weren't made for them, but they are. There's certain standards on any team that you have to live up to. And I just think when you don't live up to those standards, at some point, it's not a good fit for you. If you don't fit with your teammates, if you aren't a cohesive group, right? It's really hard for women to play together. If this team, you can see it on the court, they'll do anything for each other. But sometimes you see teams that aren't like that. And I think that when you're not a teammate and you don't feel part of the team or whatever it is, that means it's not the right place for you. Sometimes on paper, it seems like it's right. Sometimes you meet somebody and you think it's right, but then you get there and it doesn't work out. The other thing that should be mentioned that hasn't been mentioned is I believe the 21s and 22 classes didn't get to go on official visits because of COVID.
Wow.
So I think, because I remember reading the story about Lauren Betts, who's now at UCLA. She said she didn't take an official visit to Stanford before she went to play there. I think some of what we're seeing is not only freedom of movement and kids deciding, I'm not getting enough playing time, or, whatever it happens to be, I'm going to leave, or coaches nudging them out, right? You're seeing that. You're also seeing kids who didn't do all their homework, right? They couldn't because they couldn't come to school and get the 5 and all of a sudden realize, you know what, I don't like that coach or I don't like that teammate or whatever. And this is what you're seeing. I mean, because you would think, why would somebody leave Stanford? Stanford lost 3 players last year, of all places. And Lauren Betts, who's the number 1 recruit in that class, left. So, it's happening everywhere, and I think that that's part of it. I would hope that some of that will kind of slow down now because these kids can take their time. Now they can even take more visits. They used to only be able to take 5. Now the NCAA said, go as many times as you want. So you can really sit there and make a huge, really important decision when you're 17 of where you want to play. And hopefully you pick the right place and you're not going to have to start over every year.
PJ, there was you were telling me there was a chalk talk tonight before the game. What's that all about?
Sure. Every once in a while, the coaches do a chalk talk for season ticket holders before the game. It's usually in the Jim Click Hall of Champions here at McHale. And the assistant coach, Anthony Turner, got up and he actually walked through part of their game plan.
How they're going to stop Juju Watkins?
Yes, he showed clips like he shows to the players.
Wow.
He took those actual clips and showed us, this is what she does. This is what how we're gonna try to stop it. He showed like other teams playing her and when they had stopped her and total film clips like we were the players. It was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good stuff in there tonight.
Real quick, PJ, you are a faithful attendee of the Adia Barnes radio show, which we carry here on Wildcats Radio 1290. What's it like actually to be there for one of those shows? Because it's really funny to listen to.
Oh, it's fun. It's completely different in the room. When you're in the room, first of all, the fans are so incredible. They're so incredibly nice. Everybody talks to everybody. It's just a really great atmosphere. And then afterwards, they stand in line to talk to Adia. And if there are any players there, I mean, it's pretty amazing. But what's really fun too is the commercial breaks, or even afterwards, like the last one was on Tuesday night. The whole team came, and afterwards, Adia had all 4 coaches plus Lauren Flum, who's the director of operations, and they got up there and they talked. And you can ask questions, and they talk. And to me, that's the best part, is what people who are listening on the radio, they should listen on this station to hear that, because Derek's great and the show is great. But when you go in person, you get all this extra insight about what's going on or how they do things, and it's just a really fun time. And Adia gets in rare form, and she's joking around with people, and it's just a good time.
PJ, we will see you in Las Vegas.
All right, sounds good.
PJ Brown from the Arizona Daily Star getting you set for the Wildcats and Women of Troy tip-off coming up just after the top of the hour. One final timeout. We'll come back and wrap it up. It's DK on the Sports Tip, Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic. We do have some usual backups for Ahaway and Mission, and also southbound La Cholla at Ahaway, and that southbound I-19 frontage road at Irvington for backups, and some slowing on the eastbound side of I-10 as you approach Congress, and the eastbound I-10 Congress off-ramp busy as well. We're working reported collisions for Cortero east of Camino de Oeste, Golf Links in Wilmot, Silverbell in Sunset, and also Alvernon and Speedway Boulevard. And I'm Cricket, and your weather. Overnight tonight, 47 and clear, 76 sunny tomorrow, and 68 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their all-in-one platform helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. And Indeed's interview tool lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Welcome to Love Those Savings, brought to you by O'Reilly Chevrolet. Let's meet our contestants. Contestant number 1 is Equinox. Contestant 2 is Silverado. And our newest contestant number 3, he's T-Railblazer.
They're all so good looking and affordable. I can't believe I can only take one of them home.
Check us out at O'Reilly.com. Call us at 747-8000 or love those savings in person on Broadway next to Park Place Mall. Find new roads at O'Reilly Chevrolet.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750 or biglou.com.
Make sure you download or update the Wildcats Radio 1290 app. We've got the entire state covered like no other sports radio station in southern Arizona. Plus, when you have the app, you can cover U of A sports with Wildcats Radio 1290 anywhere and everywhere you go and out of town too. The mountains, the beach, working out, or maybe even...
Oh, no. Turn that off.
Download or update the Wildcats Radio 1290 app today and never miss a moment of sports analysis. Well, maybe an occasional moment. Wildcats Radio 1290.
Tucson, it's time for the Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, March 8th through the 10th. Now at La Paloma Country Club and the Westin La Paloma Resort and Spa. See some of golf's greatest players compete for the coveted Conquistadors Helmet Trophy. It's PGA Tour Champions Golf at its finest. And Friday night, under the stars, see Midland and Roger Klein and the Peacemakers live in concert at Rito Park. The Cologuard Classic by Exact Sciences, benefiting colorectal cancer awareness in youth sports. Tickets and more at CologuardClassic.com.
I don't think people understand how much cool air escapes into their walls and attic.
Or how much extra that costs you every month.
If only there was a way to explain how Alaskan AC keeps that from happening.
It's kind of like that.
Did you seriously just aeroseal Gary's mouth?
Notice how almost no air is getting through?
True.
You're right, Gary. Only Alaskan AC includes AeroSeal with every AC system we sell. It keeps the cool in your home, not in your walls and attic.
He said all that? What do you say now?
You're probably paying 20 to 50% more than you have to. You'll see savings from your new AeroSeal included systems the very first year.
I had no idea Gary knew so much about AeroSeal.
It's a big part of how we customize heating and air systems so people are comfortable in every room.
I gotta hand it to you, Gary. You know how to make a good point.
A regular pro at this.
Oh, that's right.
Forgot the most important part.
AeroSeal, included with every system at Alaskan AC.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290. And now, the best thing you will hear all day.
Hachi-machi!
It's time for the Wildcat Radio Replay. In case you missed this earlier in the day, we now bring you the best of 1290. It's made possible by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
I think it was something that was brewing when I came in as a freshman. The talent was there. We just had to put it all together. And once we all understood our roles on the court, I think it was a no-brainer that we was gonna, to be a special team. And I think for them during that year, we ended up hitting number one, and that right there just kind of took all of our hearts and the state of Arizona, the city of Tucson, to see that now we have a number one ranked basketball team, on the court. And it was, again, the whole city was going crazy, and we were all excited about it.
They made T-shirts. I remember. I think I still have one of those T-shirts in a closet somewhere.
Well, we had T-shirts, and we had Harvey Mason putting down the wild about the Cats, and it was everyone was wild about the Cats at that time.
Kenny, we play Wild About the Cats every single post game after wins this year, so we still got it rolling.
Nice again.
What do you remember about that? What do you remember about that whole process? And how did Harvey present that to the group?
Well, again, everyone knew Harvey because of his dad. He was all in the music, and Harvey was always doing stuff in the studio already. And for him to come out and say, we got this song, I want you guys to hear this. And once we heard it, and it was like, this is pretty cool. And he kind of put the flair with all the different guys, and the players had their own little thing of parts to it. It was just amazing Harvey to just have that thought up in his head and to put it out in the forefront.
Elliott's here. It's time to play. They want me in the NBA.
Great having Kenny Lofton on the show today. K-Love.
That was the Wildcat Radio Replay with the best of 1290. It's brought to you by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
He is headed into the Ring of Honor Saturday at McHale Center. For a while, he was the all-time steals leader at the University of Arizona in men's basketball. That's going to wrap up our show for today. Thanks to all the folks that joined us. Kenny Lofton, Jeff Hill from the Tucson Conquistadors, PJ Brown from the Arizona Daily Star, Andy Morales from All Sports Tucson. For cricket, for J-Dub, I'm David Kelly. That is our time for tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Coming up next, Arizona women's basketball, the Wildcats and the Women of Troy. Derek Palmer has the call. Bear down, Arizona.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take